Hey guys, today we stand at the edge of a hidden door inside your mind, and when you push it open, you discover corridors lined with memories about money, echoing voices telling you scarcity is normal, telling you wealth is for other people. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and your local time so we can see where everyone's tuning in from. Now, open phone screen, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into today's journey together. You feel the weight of generations pressing on your shoulders even before you realize it. You grew up absorbing whispered worries about bills from anxious parents. You heard, "We can't afford that," as a mantra. Repeated so often, it became carved into your subconscious. You felt the tension in the room whenever money was mentioned. Felt your pulse quicken at the sound of falling coins. These early impressions created invisible fences around your financial potential. Fences you didn't even know existed until now. Notice how you believe scarcity by default. You check your bank balance and feel a jolt of dread. You see a sale pop up and instant guilt floods in. I shouldn't spend. You hesitate at every purchase, wondering if you'll have enough to cover unexpected expenses. This scarcity mindset has you wired to see shortage everywhere, empty shelves, crossed off numbers in spreadsheets, blinking red figures in your account. But what if those fences are just thoughts, not facts? Right now, you begin mapping those thoughts. You ask yourself, which money messages did I swallow as truth? Did you hear rich people are greedy around the dinner table? Did you watch someone you love work multiple jobs, yet still fear the next bill? Those stories taught you to equate effort with limitation. You believed that more hours meant more money, and yet you never felt satisfied because effort was a treadmill, not a ladder. You realize your mind runs on autopilot scripts. Money is hard to come by. If I had more, I'd lose it. I'm not lucky enough. Each of these is a silent command that pushes wealth away. Your brain doesn't argue. It simply seeks consistency. When you mentally whisper, "I can't afford that," your subconscious engineers situations to prove you right. Overdraft fees, surprise expenses, paycheck-to-paycheck living. Here, you pause and breathe. You plant a seed of curiosity. What if these beliefs are optional? What if scarcity is not your default setting, but a choice you inherited? You begin shining a light on those inherited scripts, examining them with gentle skepticism. You ask, which of these beliefs still serve me? Which bleed me dry? As you name each limiting thought, you shrink its power. You realize that scarcity is just a pattern of neural pathways firing repeatedly. Each time you catch yourself thinking in lack, you activate that old circuitry, but you can rewire, create fresh paths where abundance flows. You lean in closer, heart pounding at the prospect of freedom. You remind yourself that every belief you hold was once learned. Therefore, it can be unlearned. You consider moments when you felt even a flicker of ease around money, a small windfall, a gift, a moment of unexpected generosity. Those instances are clues. They reveal that abundance is possible. Now you shift your gaze inward. You place a metaphorical magnifying glass over your childhood stories, the creased bills hidden under a mattress, the hushed conversations about bills, the shame of asking for help. You gently reconstruct those memories, acknowledging the fear they implanted, but refusing to let the fear define your future. You introduce a simple exercise. Each morning, you list one money story you remember from childhood, then write an alternative version that empowers you. For example, if your inner script says money doesn't grow on trees, you write, "My capacity to create value is unlimited." If you believed rich people are greedy, you reframe to, "Wealth is a tool for positive impact." You feel a subtle looseness enter your chest as you do this. Walls crack and light pours in. You sense potential in places you never looked before. You begin to notice opportunities, small ways you can test new beliefs, offering your skills in exchange for tips, asking for a raise, setting aside a symbolic $1 each week. Each tiny act is a vote for abundance. Between each practice, you pause to observe how your body responds. Do you clench your jaw at the thought of saving? Does your stomach knot when you imagine investing? Those somatic signals are your subconscious shouting, "I belong here." You gently promise yourself safety. "I can handle growth. I can tolerate discomfort in service of transformation." The anchor of scarcity begins to lighten. You reclaim permission to dream bigger. You picture a future where your default reaction to money is curiosity and confidence instead of fear. You sense how differently you'd approach a sudden gain, excited instead of anxious. You start carrying that energy into small financial choices. With every purchase, you ask, "Does this align with my new script of abundance?" As the first section draws to a close, you recognize that uncovering hidden beliefs is not a one-time event, but the first step in a lifelong process. The fences around your mind may be thick, but each time you shine light on them, a stone falls away, and you stand freer. You awaken to a startling revelation. Wealth is not confined to digits blinking on your phone screen or a bank statement printed in black and white. It is the broad expanse of your life, the canvas on which you paint each choice, the soundtrack to your daily experience. You realize that true wealth stretches far beyond the accumulation of currency. It is freedom to decide, security to weather storms, and the power to shape each moment according to your deepest values. You begin by picturing your ideal morning. There is no shrill alarm dragging you from sleep. Instead, you stir gently as sunlight filters through curtains you chose. Rather than ones hung in a cramped rental, you lie still, feeling the soft weight of the covers, savoring the warmth against your skin. You reach for a mug of tea or coffee, whatever feels nourishing in this moment, and you sip slowly, unhurried. In that simple ritual, you experience the sweetest luxury, unclaimed time. You recognize that countless people trade their mornings, often their most creative and peaceful hours, for a paycheck. But you refuse to be among them. You understand that your greatest asset is not a 401k or portfolio of stocks. It is your mastery over time itself. You press your fingertips against the window pane, watching early sunbeams carve golden pathways across the floor. You feel an energizing rush, realizing that you choose when to work, when to rest, when to create, when to explore. This autonomy over your hours, your energy, your attention, that is the truest measure of wealth. It affords you agency over your life story, rather than relegating you to a supporting role in someone else's narrative. Next, you shift your focus to the realm of relationships and community. You imagine being able to say yes to gatherings that nourish your spirit and no to obligations that drain you. You feel the subtle liberation in declining a lunch invitation that no longer aligns with your priorities, or politely stepping away from a conversation that feels toxic. Financial independence unshackles you from obligations born of scarcity. No longer do you accept every request out of fear of missing out or guilt. You learn that declining a draining situation is itself a form of wealth, the freedom to protect your well-being and cultivate authentic connections. As your vision expands, a sense of safety washes over you. You picture an emergency fund, not as a dusty line item on a bland spreadsheet, but as a fortress built around your inner calm. When the unexpected arrives, a medical expense, a car repair, a sudden trip, you remain poised. You breathe steadily, knowing you possess the resources to meet life's curveballs without panic. This security, this readiness, is wealth in its purest form. The cushion that prevents you from trading your peace of mind for temporary fixes. You then imagine yourself 1 year from today, paused in gratitude as you reflect on decisions made from a place of choice rather than desperation. You see how each financial cushion you built, a small savings account, a side grocery budget, a micro investment, translates into a deepened sense of control over your career path, your living situation, and your capacity to support loved ones. You realize that wealth encompasses stability, the unwavering confidence that you will not be forced into unwanted compromises when life takes unexpected turns. You feel your chest rising and falling more easily as you embrace this broader definition. You understand that having the freedom to pivot, whether to start a new business, take a sabbatical, or pursue a passion project, is an invaluable manifestation of prosperity. It is the permission slip you grant yourself to live fully, to experiment boldly, to grow without crippling fear of financial ruin. You recall stories of people who reluctantly stayed in unfulfilling jobs because bills loomed like storm clouds. You contrast their regret with your blossoming confidence. You are crafting a life where money serves your vision, not the other way around. You feel an inner rally cry swell. I will never again exchange my time, choices, and creativity for a paltry return. You place a hand on your chest, sensing the rhythm of purpose beating within. You vow to align your daily actions with this expansive concept of wealth. Each dollar you save, each small investment you make becomes a vote for freedom, choice, and security. You begin reframing basic financial tasks as milestone markers on your journey to autonomy. Setting up an emergency fund is no longer bookkeeping drudgery, but constructing a stronghold of calm. Creating a budget is not deprivation, but charting a course toward uncharted opportunities. In quiet moments, you practice gratitude for this newfound perspective. You mentally list the freedoms you currently hold, waking naturally, choosing your work hours, turning down stress-inducing demands. As you reflect, you notice how gratitude lifts your mood and sharpens your resolve. You recognize that valuing these intangibles transforms mundane tasks into powerful affirmations of abundance. Eager to deepen this practice, you launch a simple exercise. Once a week, you conduct an abundance audit. You reserve 30 minutes to identify areas of your life where freedom or security feels scant. Perhaps you feel trapped by a lingering debt obligation. Perhaps you still cringe at that upcoming insurance premium. Then you brainstorm at least 2 tangible actions to expand your autonomy or safeguard your peace in that domain. Refinancing a loan, negotiating a payment plan, or exploring a side hustle to boost income. This audit becomes your compass, guiding you toward a life where wealth permeates every decision. You weave this audit into your weekly rhythm. Each Sunday evening, you light a candle or brew a special tea, creating a ritualized space to reflect on your liberties. You journal with intention. What choices did you honor this week? Where did scarcity creep in? How can you strengthen your sense of autonomy next week? Over time, this intentional reflection rewires your mind to spot, celebrate, and expand the freedoms that define genuine wealth. Weeks turn to months, and you find yourself claiming new liberties. You decline projects that clash with your priorities. You invest in skills that widen your options. You renegotiate contracts and boundaries, both professionally and personally. Every small act reinforces your belief that wealth is the sum of your choices, not merely the sum of your cash. One afternoon, you sit beneath a sprawling oak in a park, feeling a sun-dappled breeze kiss your skin. You smile, realizing you've entered a new paradigm. You no longer equate wealth solely with accumulation. You recognize that the richest treasures are often intangible. Moments of presence with loved ones, the courage to pivot your path, the fortitude to face uncertainties without dread. You sit up straighter, inhaling inspiration. You know that mastering this expanded definition of wealth sets the stage for everything that follows. You have laid the foundation for creating value, tuning your vibrational frequency, and ultimately becoming the source of your own prosperity. And it all begins with one simple, profound truth. Wealth is your freedom to choose, your security amid chaos, and your sovereignty over time. The edges of this section soften as you hold this vision close, feeling momentum build behind you. You are propelled forward, eager to channel this broadened understanding into actionable steps. You sense how this redefinition will ripple through every corner of your life, granting you the grace and confidence to live on your own terms. You wake to the hum of possibility, feeling a subtle shift in your chest as the realization crystallizes. Clocking endless hours will never lift you beyond the treadmill of struggle. You've been taught that hard work equals hard currency, late nights at the office, extra shifts on weekends, trading every waking second for a paycheck. Yet despite all that effort, the finish line never moves closer. You see coworkers exhausted at their desks, still worried about their bills. You've felt that same knot in your gut, grinding harder, hoping for a windfall that never arrives. Today, that paradigm ends. You stretch and breathe in abundance, affirming that true wealth does not reward mere effort. It follows value. Money does not flow to those who simply toil. It flows to those who solve problems, create impact, and deliver remarkable results. You recall meeting Sarah, a freelance graphic designer who once billed by the hour and felt trapped every time she looked at her timesheet. She switched to project-based pricing, focusing on the transformative power of her designs, how they elevated a brand's identity and boosted sales. Suddenly, she doubled her income, not by working longer, but by recognizing the value her work delivered. Watching her story unfold, you feel that same potential igniting in your bones. You picture yourself sculpting your schedule not around hours, but around impact. You imagine mapping out the results you want to produce, then reverse engineering the steps needed to achieve them. You cease to ask, how long will this take? And instead ask, what is the value I'll create here? That mental pivot alone alters everything. You no longer see time as your currency, you see value. You stand at a crossroads. One path leads to trading hours for dollars, the other to generating value that commands its own reward. You choose the latter. You step onto a sunlit trail lined with signposts reminding you that every skill you cultivate and every solution you offer is a value node that magnetizes wealth to you. This lens transforms your relationship with work. No longer unnecessary grind, but an opportunity to deploy your talents strategically. To embody this shift, you begin by inventorying your skills. You list technical abilities, soft skills, domain expertise, and life experiences. Everything from writing persuasive copy to resolving complex conflicts, from creating intuitive designs to mentoring others. Next to each skill, you write the problems it can solve and the changes it can bring about. You see that negotiation skills can secure higher rates for your projects. Your knack for teaching can empower clients to implement systems you design. Your flair for organization can streamline an entire team's workflow. Each skill is a key that unlocks value in a specific domain. You choose one skill, let's say your ability to communicate complex ideas clearly, and you map out how you can transform it into a high-value offering. Perhaps you create a workshop that teaches professionals to craft elevator pitches that close deals. You imagine charging a premium for that workshop because the value you deliver is clear. More closed deals, bigger revenues, and strengthened confidence. You sketch out an outline, draft an email to prospective clients, and earmark time in your calendar for delivery. Already you feel exhilaration. This is not about filling hours on your timesheet, but about delivering measurable outcomes. You recall the story of a consultant who advised clients by the hour, billing steep rates, but never truly impacting the bottom line. When she switched to value-based fees, tying her payment to the profit uplift she generated, her clients doubled their commitment. Thrilled by the alignment of incentives, she went from billing 8 hours a week to partnering long-term as her work consistently delivered exponential returns. You sense that same spark when you shift from hourly billing to outcome-based fees. You guarantee that the value you deliver becomes the magnet pulling money to you. You integrate this mindset by reframing how you approach every task. If you still sit down to write blog posts, you now ask, how will this content move the needle for my client? You create posts that not only inform but also capture leads, convert readers into subscribers, and fuel long-term engagement. You track those outcomes and share them, reinforcing your reputation as a value creator rather than a time filler. You notice how this subtle mental shift ripples outward into confidence. You walk into meetings standing a bit taller, knowing that you're not selling time, you're selling transformation. Your voice carries that confidence, and others intuitively sense that engaging you is an investment, not an expense. You watch proposals translate into contracts more easily because clients don't want more hours. They want solutions to their pressing challenges. To cement this new orientation, you adopt a simple daily practice. Each morning, you visualize the value you will create that day. You close your eyes and see yourself delivering precise solutions, crafting presentations that win over skeptical stakeholders, designing landing pages that boost conversion rates, troubleshooting a process bottleneck, and saving thousands in wasted labor. You feel the pride of solving big problems and the knowledge that your day's work, regardless of length, yields outsized rewards. You then practice gratitude for outcomes, not hours. At day's end, instead of ticking off the hours you logged, you jot down the measurable results you delivered, helped client reduce errors by 25%, closed 2 new partnerships, launched high-converting email campaign. These outcome-focused reflections wire your brain to seek value rather than busyness. You also lean into continuous learning, but not random upskilling. You target skills with high market demand and tangible impact. Perhaps you dive into negotiation strategies because you know better deals multiply the value you offer. Or you master persuasive data visualization, enabling clients to make data-driven decisions faster. You tailor every learning effort to catalyze new value streams. You notice how your network responds. Fellow professionals begin approaching you for advice, referrals, and collaborations. They perceive you as a value hub, someone whose involvement accelerates their own success. You accumulate a reputation that transcends time spent. It's rooted in the consistent, high-leverage contributions you make. You also recognize that building value often requires leverage, systems, and automation. You identify routine tasks that consume your time but add little value. You set up templates for proposals, automate report generation, and outsource repetitive chores to virtual assistants. Each hour saved becomes an opportunity to focus on high-impact activities, crafting strategy sessions, nurturing client relationships, architecting major initiatives. You reclaim your time for value creation, and your income multiplies accordingly. You remember the stories of entrepreneurs who built software products. One-time development effort yields ongoing revenue every time someone upgrades or subscribes. You brainstorm how to convert your expertise into assets, online courses, digital toolkits, templates, or subscription-based services. Each of these assets embodies value you create once and monetize indefinitely. You sketch a plan for your first digital product, perhaps an interactive guide that consolidates your best practices, knowing that, once launched, it will generate income long after you've moved on to new projects. You pause to reflect on your relationship with effort itself. Effort is not villainous. It's simply a means to an end. But when you tie your effort to arbitrary time metrics, you cap your income at a finite level. When you tie your work to value delivered, effort becomes the fuel that scales your impact, not the measure of your worth. You celebrate the liberation this brings. No longer is your income linearly tied to hours. It is exponentially tied to your creativity, problem solving, and leverage. You realize that this shift demands a new language in your proposals and conversations. You no longer say, "I charge X per hour." You say again, "For this service, which yields Y results, my fee is Z." You articulate the return on investment, making the value math undeniable. This clarity attracts clients who prioritize outcomes and who will champion your work internally, leading to referrals and expanded engagements. To internalize this approach, you set a monthly ritual, a value audit. You review each project you undertook, quantify the value you delivered, and analyze how your pricing aligned with that value. You adjust accordingly, raising fees for high-impact work, refining offerings that underperformed, and eliminating tasks that added minimal value. This ongoing calibration ensures that your compensation remains aligned with your contributions. Meanwhile, you cultivate the discipline to guard your time fiercely. When someone proposes an engagement misaligned with your value framework, perhaps a low-impact hourly-based project, you politely decline or propose alternative structures that emphasize outcomes. You preserve bandwidth for endeavors that promise genuine transformation, both for your clients and your bottom line. You also become a force multiplier by teaching others to follow this model. You mentor colleagues who still bill by the hour, guiding them to reframe their offerings around value. As they begin to see their incomes rise, your reputation as a thought leader in value-based practice expands. Opportunities for speaking engagements, partnerships, and consulting roles flow to you, further amplifying your value network. In the quiet moments, you meditate on the principle that money follows value, not effort. You feel that truth reverberate in your bones. Wherever you concentrate your unique talents to solve important problems, wealth accumulates around you. You recognize that abundance is not a matter of working until exhaustion. It is the natural consequence of delivering impactful, scalable solutions. As this section draws to a close, you sense your entire orientation toward work transformed. You no longer equate long hours with success. Instead, you measure your achievements by the positive change you ignite, the metrics you improve, and the lives you enhance. But you have shifted from a mentality of scarcity, trading time for dollars, to a mindset of abundance, where every act of value creation magnetizes prosperity. You stand at the threshold of a new era, one where you engineer your days around high-leverage activities, where you insist on outcome-based fees, where you build enduring assets that deliver value and income while you sleep. This is the blueprint for exponential wealth growth, the code that unlocks limitless financial potential. You step forward, ready to align every ounce of your effort with the monumental value you know you can create. You feel a subtle vibration humming beneath the surface of your reality, like a distant radio station waiting to be tuned in. It trembles at the edges of your awareness, beckoning you to adjust your internal dial and align with the frequency of abundance. When you do, everything shifts. Doors open on their own hinges. Opportunities appear from unexpected angles, and you move through the world like a magnet for prosperity. This is no metaphor. It is the science of money frequency, a principle proven by neuroscience, quantum theory, and countless examples of individuals who have learned to broadcast wealth rather than chase it. Imagine a radio tower broadcasting a signal across the airwaves. If your receiver is tuned to the wrong frequency, you hear nothing but static. But when you lock onto the correct channel, the music flows clearly, effortlessly. Money operates on the same principle. Abundance is a signal constantly being transmitted in the universe. But unless you tune your thoughts, emotions, and actions to that precise vibration, you experience only the static of scarcity, stress, doubt, and struggle. You begin by acknowledging that your mindset and emotions carry measurable frequencies. Neuroscience shows that thoughts trigger electrical impulses and chemical releases in your brain, creating energetic signatures that ripple through your body. Emotions like fear and anxiety lower your frequency, narrowing the range you can receive. Emotions like gratitude, confidence, and joy raise your frequency, widening your bandwidth to pick up richer, more abundant signals. This isn't woo-woo, it's neurochemistry. You recall experiments where participants who practiced gratitude showed increased levels of dopamine and serotonin, neurotransmitters associated with positive mood and mental clarity. When your mind floods with those chemicals, your entire energetic field, call it an aura if you like, resonates at a higher pitch. In that state, you naturally attract ideas, people, and resources that match that energy. You no longer bump into obstacles. Instead, you glide past them as if guided by an invisible current. To master this alignment, you adopt a 5-step practice. Nini 1. Frequency awareness. You dedicate your first conscious moments each morning to sensing your internal frequency. Before you allow busy thoughts to crowd in, you sit quietly and place a gentle hand on your chest. You notice any tightness, any rapid heartbeat, signals that you are operating at a scarcity frequency. You breathe deeply, slow your thoughts, and ask yourself, how do I feel about money right now? You label the sensation: anxious, indifferent, hopeful, excited. Just naming the emotion diffuses its power. You observe without judgment and treat your body as a weathered antenna, picking up signals of lack or abundance. This single exercise anchors you in self-awareness, giving you permission to shift states rather than remain unconscious. 2. Releasing vibrational dead weight. With awareness comes choice. You scan your mind for the mental clutter, limiting beliefs, and repetitive worries that weigh you down. Like old, frayed cables corroding your signal. These thoughts sabotage your ability to pick up wealth's transmission. You recall phrases such as, I don't deserve this, there's never enough, and I always mess up financially. Each thought runs on an endless loop until you consciously unplug it. You practice a technique called emotional download. You write your fears on a piece of paper, every worry about money you can think of, and then tear the paper into strips. As you tear, you repeat silently, I release this fear. I release this doubt. You watch the fragments fall away, feeling lighter as you expose the clear ground beneath. With no weight to breach, your internal frequency naturally rises. Nati mitalari, raising your financial pitch. Now that you've created space, you begin amplifying frequencies associated with abundance. You launch into gratitude, rapid-fire appreciation for all that you have. You list 3 specific things: a loyal friend who offered support, a recent lesson learned from a setback, and a small windfall, a refund, a discount, or even a kind word that uplifted you. As you focus on these positive elements, you feel warmth blossom in your chest. You physically smile, letting facial muscles signal to your brain that you're experiencing joy. This simple act triggers a cascade of endorphins, nudging your frequency upward. You stay in this state for at least 2 minutes, letting waves of gratitude wash over you. Next, you practice affirmations. But you don't mutter generic line. You speak powerfully and emotively, choosing statements that resonate deep within. I am a money magnet. Abundance flows to me effortlessly. Every action I take amplifies my wealth. You repeat each phrase slowly, letting every word vibrate through your body. You feel the surge of possibility each time you declare these truths. You're not pretending. You're choosing to embody the highest frequency you wish to inhabit. 4. Environmental resonance. You recognize that your external environment can either amplify or dampen your frequency. A cluttered desk, negative conversations, or constant news of economic gloom all act like noise-canceling speakers, muffling abundance signals. To counter this, you curate your space and influences. You begin by decluttering your immediate workspace, clearing away old receipts, opening windows for fresh air, and adding a plant or 2 to symbolize growth. You place a symbol of abundance with insight, a crystal, a piece of art, or a photograph that stirs feelings of plenty. These anchors serve as visual reminders of your chosen frequency. Next, you audit your information diet. You unsubscribe from sensationalist financial news feeds that stoke fear. You replace them with newsletters from entrepreneurs who share breakthroughs, scientists who explore positive trends, or podcasts that celebrate creative problem solving. You surround yourself with stories of innovation and expansion, training your mind to expect progress rather than panic. 5. Embodied practice. Finally, you translate this high-frequency state into embodied action. You purposefully engage in activities that radiate abundance. When you send an email to a potential client, you infuse it with confidence and clarity, imagining the positive impact your service will have on their bottom line. You walk into that meeting standing a little taller, speaking with conviction because you know your value magnetizes opportunity. You also align your physical self, your posture, your tone, your pace with abundance. When you move through your day, you glide rather than trudge. Your steps are measured, not rushed. You speak with a tone that carries warmth and certainty, allowing others to absorb your frequency and respond in kind. When you encounter resistance, a skeptical colleague, a stalled negotiation, you maintain your frequency by taking a brief pause, breathing deeply, and mentally reconnecting to your abundance blueprint. You visualize your frequency as a radiant light that cannot be dimmed by external fluctuations. You keep broadcasting even when the static threatens to creep back. While these 5 practices become your daily ritual, you also introduce a weekly frequency calibration session. Every Sunday evening, you spend 30 minutes reviewing your energetic state. You ask, which days felt high frequency? Which days dipped into scarcity? You journal those patterns, identifying triggers, maybe a late-night budget scramble, or a harsh self-critique, and plan targeted interventions. You create a simple chart with 2 columns, scarcity triggers and abundance boosters. Under each, you list actionable steps. For example, if sleeplessness triggers fear, then choose a soothing pre-sleep ritual of meditation and ambient music. If a critical email pulls you downward, then pair it with a spontaneous gratitude text to a friend. This calibration ensures you can dynamically tune your frequency back to wealth when life's storms arise. Over the weeks, you notice profound changes. You begin attracting collaborations rather than cold calling prospects. Unexpected invitations to speak, consult, or contribute arrive in your inbox. You find yourself extending kindness and receiving support in equal measure, as though the universe echoes your generosity. You experience serendipitous meetings. A chance encounter during your morning walk leads to a partnership that yields a new revenue stream. On one crisp morning, you pause in your routine walk by the lake. You feel a gentle breeze brush your face, the sun reflecting off water rippling like liquid light. You realize you've become comfortable in this state of alignment, no longer scrutinizing every dollar spent, no longer wrestling with the question, will there be enough? Instead, you step forward in faith, knowing that your frequency broadcasts abundance and draws it to you. You recall a story of a musician who tuned his guitar to a specific pitch so precise that his audiences felt uplifted before he played a single note. In the same way, you have tuned yourself, mind, body, and environment to resonate at a wealth frequency. You are that living instrument, and your life unfolds as a symphony of opportunity, creativity, and reward. As this section draws to a close, you understand that mastering the money frequency is not a one-time fix, but an ongoing dance. You balance moments of grounding when scarcity creeps in with moments of expansion when you amplify gratitude and joy. You learn to flow with the rhythms of life, staying tuned to abundance even as circumstances shift. And now, as you step into the next phase of your transformation, you carry this truth. You are not chasing money, you are resonating with it. You are not a passive receptor, you are an active broadcaster. By maintaining this frequency, you ensure that wealth is not a distant hope, but a constant presence, drawn to you by the harmonious vibration of your very being. You notice something extraordinary beginning to unfold. People start perceiving you differently. Clients speak your name with enthusiasm before you even arrive. Friends ask for your advice on money matters, and opportunities seem to knock rather than you having to chase them. This shift isn't magic. It's the unmistakable signal that you are evolving into an identity magnet, the person to whom money and opportunity naturally gravitate. You're becoming that individual whose very presence radiates abundance, drawing resources towards you as though you were a living beacon of prosperity. It starts with the stories you tell yourself about who you are. Up until now, you've been rewriting limiting beliefs around money, tuning your frequency to abundance, and delivering value instead of effort. But to become a true magnet, you must internalize a new identity, a self-concept so powerful that your subconscious mind, your behaviors, and even your posture align with it. You no longer aspire to be wealthy. You are wealthy in your mind, body, and spirit. You begin by crafting your identity declaration, a concise, present tense statement that captures the essence of your wealthy self. You write it in bold letters on a card you keep by your desk and in the wallpaper on your phone. I am the person who effortlessly attracts wealth, abundance, and opportunity everywhere I go. Every morning, you stand before the mirror, look yourself in the eye, and speak this declaration aloud. You feel the vibration of the words resonate through your chest. This daily ritual rewires neural pathways, reinforcing the truth of your new identity. As you repeat it, you feel layers of the old, scarcity-based self peeling away, replaced by a version of you that lives and breathes abundance. Next, you cultivate the visual essence of your wealthy self. You know that identity isn't just a mental concept. It's also a visual signal you broadcast to the world. You ask yourself, how would my wealthy self carry themselves? What would they wear? How would they speak? You declutter your wardrobe, keeping only pieces that make you feel confident and composed. You choose attire that reflects success without unnecessary extravagance. A crisp shirt, well-fitted trousers or skirt, a watch that speaks to your personal style, and shoes polished to a quiet shine. You pay attention to the details, a neatly trimmed beard or well-styled hair, minimal but tasteful accessories, a posture that's upright and open. Each morning, as you dress, you feel a subtle shift. The clothes transform you into someone who commands respect and commands resources. With your outward appearance aligned, you refine your verbal presence. You recognize that words are vibrations too, and the language you use can either reinforce scarcity or magnetism. You discard phrases like, I hope, I think, I'll try, and replace them with decisive language. I choose. I will. I create. I attract. When speaking about money, you frame it as a force you direct, not an external factor beyond your control. You practice this in everyday conversations. Instead of, I'm trying to save more, you say, I'm allocating resources to build my financial freedom. Instead of, I don't have enough clients, you say, I'm attracting clients who deeply value my expertise. These verbal shifts gradually reshape how you and others experience your self-assurance. Your nonverbal cues also play a vital role. You become aware of your habitual gestures, the way you hold your shoulders, the speed of your walk, the firmness of your handshake. You decide to embody magnetism with your body language. You stand with shoulders back, chest open, head held high. When you walk into a room, your steps are deliberate yet relaxed, as though you own your space. You maintain eye contact that conveys warmth and confidence. You smile, not nervously, but with genuine recognition that abundance flows through you and into your environment. Simultaneously, you refine your emotional presence. You remember that abundance is not just a cerebral concept, but a felt state. To magnetize resources, you practice emotional anchoring, recalling moments when you felt powerful, capable, and prosperous. You close your eyes and transport yourself to a memory, perhaps the first time you received unexpected praise for your work, or the moment you held a significant bonus check. You relive the sights, sounds, smells, and sensations. You let the exhilaration wash over you, anchoring it as an internal resource you can access at will. Whenever doubt or scarcity creeps in, you tap into that anchor, instantly elevating your emotional frequency and maintaining the magnetism. To solidify this identity, you curate your social circle. You recognize that energy is contagious. To amplify yours, you surround yourself with people who embody the same high-frequency identity. You join mastermind groups, networking forums, and professional associations where wealth consciousness is the norm. You invest time in friendships with entrepreneurs, investors, and creators who share success stories, not complaints. These relationships become fertile ground for mutual growth. Ideas flow freely. Partnerships emerge, and your identity magnet strengthens through collective synergy. You also engage in strategic mentorship, seeking guidance from individuals who have already mastered the identity you're adopting. You schedule regular calls or meetings with a mentor, a seasoned business owner, investor, or coach who challenges you to operate at higher levels. Through their feedback, you refine your strategies, confront blind spots, and accelerate your growth. Their belief in your potential reinforces your own self-belief, further anchoring your wealthy identity. At the same time, you develop a habit of daily visualization with vivid, sensory-rich scenes. Each evening, before sleep, you visualize your life as it unfolds in perfect alignment with your identity magnet. You see yourself negotiating seamless deals, signing lucrative contracts, savoring celebratory dinners in elegant restaurants, and traveling confidently to exotic destinations. You hear the applause and affirmations of others acknowledging your contributions. You feel the smooth texture of high-quality products you've created. This nightly rehearsal trains your subconscious to expect and manifest these outcomes, seamlessly blending identity with reality. You introduce a weekly identity audit. Every Saturday morning, you reflect on 3 questions. 1. In which moments this week did I feel fully aligned with my wealthy identity? 2. Where did I slip back into old scarcity habits or mindsets? 3. What specific action can I take next week to more consistently embody my magnetism? You journal your insights, celebrate your wins, and set clear intentions to course correct in areas needing improvement. This ongoing feedback loop propels your transformation, ensuring that your identity magnet grows stronger over time. To integrate identity magnetism into your professional life, you overhaul your personal brand. You refine your online presence, your website, LinkedIn profile, and social media channels to reflect the authority and success you embody. You update your headshot to one that exudes confidence and approachability. You craft a concise personal narrative that highlights your achievements, impact, and vision. When you share content, articles, videos, discussions, you do so with clarity and purpose, positioning yourself as a thought leader. Your digital footprint becomes an extension of your identity magnet, drawing opportunities even when you're offline. You also develop signature rituals that reinforce your identity throughout the day. Perhaps you have a brief mid-morning mindfulness break where you recite your identity declaration and visualize upcoming successes. Or you take a walk at sunset, reflecting on the day's achievements and allowing gratitude to expand. These rituals punctuate your routine, keeping you anchored in your magnetism regardless of external demands. In meetings, you practice active magnetism. When presenting ideas, you speak with unwavering belief in their worth. You maintain steady eye contact and modulate your voice to convey earnestness and dynamism. You trust that your ideas deserve attention, and this confidence compels others to listen and engage. When someone expresses skepticism, you welcome their concern as an opportunity to demonstrate value rather than shrink back. You answer thoughtfully, weaving in evidence of your expertise and anchoring your responses in the identity of a trusted authority. You also embrace generosity as magnetism, recognizing that wealth flows most freely through open hands. You generously share your insights, make contacts, and resources without expecting immediate returns. You mentor colleagues, offer introductions, or provide complimentary resources when appropriate. This generosity signals to the universe and your network that you operate from abundance. In return, you find that goodwill multiplies. Those you help become ardent advocates, feeding referrals and opportunities back into your orbit. To maintain your magnetism in the face of challenges, you create a resilience protocol. You know that no identity transformation is entirely smooth. Setbacks will occur, deadlines missed, projects derailed, markets fluctuating. When adversity appears, you activate your protocol. You pause to acknowledge the setback without self-judgment. You reconnect to your visualized identity and anchor in moments of past triumph. You map out a clear, actionable plan to address the issue, channeling your abundant mindset into solution-focused energy. These steps ensure that your magnetic field remains intact, even as temporary disruptions arise. You bounce back quickly, demonstrating that setbacks are mere ripples, not identity-shattering waves. Over time, You notice profound shifts in your daily experience. You no longer need to chase every lead. They find their way to you. When you post an idea online, it seeds conversations among decision makers who reach out. When you file applications or inquiries, responses arrive faster than expected. Financial inflows appear in your account at surprising intervals: royalty payments, passive income distributions, unexpected bonuses. You see each transaction as a confirmation that your identity magnet is operating at full strength. You also observe deeper changes in your personal life. Friends and family comment on your calm confidence, your ability to handle challenges with grace, and your unwavering optimism. You become the anchor in social circles, the one people turn to for advice, reassurance, and inspiration. Your magnetic identity extends beyond finances, enriching every dimension of your existence. As this section draws to a close, you stand in awe of the transformation you've orchestrated. From within the crucible of your own mind, you have forged an identity that effortlessly attracts abundance. You no longer chase money. You stand in a field of opportunities, picking the ones that resonate most deeply with your purpose. You have become the person to whom wealth instinctively gravitates, a radiant, magnetic presence drawing prosperity towards you like moths to a welcoming flame. And now, poised on the threshold of your next evolutionary leap, you carry this truth with unwavering certainty. Your identity is your greatest asset. By embodying the magnetism of abundance in every thought, word, and action, you ensure that wealth flows to you naturally, continuously, and without limit. You settle into a quiet moment, sensing the foundation of your financial life beneath you. Your subconscious wealth thermostat, the internal framework that has regulated your abundance for as long as you can remember. Today, you commit to a complete blueprint reset. You will rewire the deep-seated programming that has dictated your financial set point, shifting from scarcity mode limitations to an expansive prosperity baseline. This reset is not a quick patch. It is a fundamental re-engineering of your most primal money responses. First, you identify your current blueprint. You draw an imaginary timeline in your mind, stretching back to your earliest money memories, piggy banks cracked open, allowance battles with siblings, whispered, "There's not enough" warnings from adults. These impressions formed the original circuitry of your wealth thermostat. You recall how each memory triggered emotions: anxiety when you couldn't afford school supplies, pride when you saved enough for a small toy, shame when you overheard that money was the root of all evil. Those emotions cemented beliefs like, "I never have enough," "money is risky," or "I'm not smart with finances." To map your present blueprint, you conduct a self-discovery interview. You pick a comfortable seat, a notebook in hand, and begin asking yourself probing questions. What do I truly believe about money? What stories did I inherit about wealth and success? When did I first feel anxious about finances? Which recurring money fears still haunt me? You write down every response, no matter how trivial or surprising. You unearth hidden assumptions. Perhaps you still believe, "I must scramble for every penny," or "I don't deserve to earn more." You're keened as the list grows. You pause to honor each belief's origin. It once served as a survival mechanism, keeping you cautious in uncertain circumstances. Now, you grant it compassion before preparing to retire it. With this inventory in place, you move to blueprint deconstruction. You view each belief as a faulty circuit within an old machine. You systematically locate them and decide which ones to dismantle. For every limiting belief, you create a corresponding, empowering replacement. You write them side by side: limiting belief, empowering replacement. There's never enough money. Abundance is boundless and flows to me continually. I must work forever to feel secure. I build assets that generate security even when I rest. Rich people are greedy or corrupt. Wealth can be a force for good and positive impact. I can't ask for higher pay, they'll say no. My value justifies premium compensation. Yes is possible. Debt is dangerous and crippling. When managed wisely, debt is a strategic tool for growth. You read each replacement aloud, feeling the vibration of possibility surge through you. This act of pairing and declaration dissolves the emotional charge of the old circuits and lays down new, robust pathways for abundance. Next, you engage in neuropattern installation. You understand that simply crafting new beliefs on paper isn't enough. Your brain must physically wire these new patterns. You choose a consistent time each day, ideally first thing in the morning, to practice a 30-day prosperity protocol. 1. Daily affirmation ritual. You stand upright, feet grounded, and recite each empowering replacement 5 times with conviction. You look at yourself in the mirror, letting your eyes seal these beliefs into your subconscious. You feel the muscles around your mouth and chest respond, encouraging your brain to reinforce the new wiring. 2. Somatic anchoring. As you affirm, you press 2 fingers gently against your solar plexus, the energy center associated with confidence and self-worth. This physical gesture links your body sensations to the new beliefs, creating a muscular memory that activates the prosperity blueprint whenever you repeat the gesture in the future. 3. Your mental rehearsal. You close your eyes and vividly imagine scenarios where these new beliefs come to life. You negotiate a higher salary with ease. You watch your investments grow. You embrace abundance with a joyful heart. You feel the sensations, relief, pride, excitement, so vividly that your brain cannot distinguish them from real experiences. This mental practice cements the neural pathways for success. Number 4, reflective journaling. At day's end, you journal 3 ways you witnessed your new beliefs manifest. Perhaps you felt no panic when an unexpected bill arrived, or you offered yourself a small luxury without guilt, or you confidently asked for fair compensation. You note the emotions you felt and celebrate each micro win, reinforcing the blueprint's validity. Through these daily exercises, your brain gradually rewires itself. You awaken each morning slightly more attuned to abundance and more resilient against scarcity triggers. Over weeks, those old circuits weaken from disuse, and the new prosperity-oriented circuitry strengthens. Simultaneously, you practice environmental reconditioning. You know your surroundings can either reinforce old patterns or bolster new ones. You audit and upgrade your physical space accordingly. Visual affirmations. You place framed prints of your empowering replacements on your desk and nightstand, so they greet you morning and night. Wealth zones. You designate a corner of your home as a prosperity nook with a comfortable chair, a small table, a notebook, and soothing music. Your dedicated spot for blueprint installation activities. Resource library. You fill a shelf with books, podcasts, and courses that align with abundance mindset. From biographies of self-made entrepreneurs to neuroscience primers on habit formation. Digital filtering. You curate your social media lists, muting accounts that perpetuate fear-based financial narratives and following channels that celebrate growth, innovation, and generosity. This intentional curation immerses you in an atmosphere of possibility, making it easier to maintain the new wiring in your subconscious. To further accelerate your blueprint reset, you enlist the power of community accountability. You join or create a small group of like-minded individuals committed to reprogramming their prosperity blueprints. Each week, you meet, virtually or in person to share progress, successes, resistance points, and insights. You practice your affirmations together, engage in guided visualization sessions, and hold one another responsible for the daily protocol. This collective energy amplifies your individual efforts, as the shared commitment and mutual encouragement will light up new pathways in your collective subconscious. You also incorporate professional guidance where needed. You consult a coach, therapist, or financial mentor skilled in cognitive restructuring and money mindset work. In these sessions, you delve deeper into childhood trauma or ingrained narratives that a solo practice might not fully surface. You receive targeted strategies, challenging questions, and personalized feedback that refine your blueprint more precisely than a generic approach. As you solidify your new wiring, you introduce a monthly blueprint audit. On the final day of each month, you schedule an hour to revisit your limiting belief inventory. You ask, which old beliefs still flicker on? Where have my new, empowering beliefs failed to stick? What corrective measures, additional affirmations, new visualizations, or fresh somatic anchors should I deploy next? You use this audit to iterate on your protocol, adding second-level declarations. I am a masterful steward of my financial destiny. Or new anchoring gestures, snapping your fingers gently at the solar plexus. With each iteration, your blueprint becomes more resilient, more expansive, and more aligned with the thriving life you envision. Over the course of several months, you notice profound shifts. Requests for your time now feel liberating rather than draining. You find yourself instinctively declining endeavors that do not resonate with your prosperity blueprint. When you face financial decisions, you default to choices that reinforce abundance, investing in growth opportunities, giving generously, or saving with calm confidence. Your subconscious no longer screams scarcity at the first sign of a new expense. Instead, it hums a quiet assurance that resources will flow. You also sense a ripple effect throughout your life. Your health improves as stress dissolves. You sleep more soundly, wake more refreshed, and move through days with clarity. Your relationships deepen as you offer generosity without expectation and accept abundance from others without guilt. Creative inspirations come more readily, fueling new ideas for ventures, projects, and collaborations. Each success confirms that your reset blueprint is working, weaving prosperity into every dimension of your existence. One evening, you pause in your prosperity nook, breathing deeply, and acknowledge the person you have become. Someone whose default state is one of wealth, possibility, and creative confidence. You realize that the thermostat you once set for just getting by has been recalibrated to thriving infinitely. You smile, feeling the gentle hum of abundance resonate within every cell of your being. As this section draws to a close, you carry forward a newfound truth. Rewiring your wealth blueprint is the gateway to sustained prosperity. With each conscious act, affirmation, somatic anchors, environmental curation, community support, you fortify the neural pathways that uphold your abundant identity. You no longer react to money from the old script. You respond from a place of power and potential. This reset lays the groundwork for the automated systems, compound engines, and legacy-building strategies that lie ahead. You stand ready, blueprint fully rebooted, to construct a life of unbounded abundance. You settle into the reality that manual money management, logging expenses by hand, forcing yourself to transfer scraps of leftover cash each month, chasing down invoices at odd hours, is a drain on your precious energy and your ability to focus on high-value activities. Today, you choose a different path, the path of automated infrastructure. a system designed to channel cash towards your growth, security, and expansion without requiring endless willpower. By automating your financial flows, you shift from reactive budgeting to proactive wealth building, ensuring that every dollar you earn is directed to serve your prosperity blueprint on autopilot. You begin by envisioning your financial life as a sophisticated pipeline. At its source is your income. The moment funds arrive, you want them to split into distinct streams that feed your goals without you having to lift a finger. You open your bank's app and create multiple sub-accounts or uses multiple banks if necessary, each dedicated to a specific purpose. 1. Anchor account, safety net. 10% to us, 20% of every deposit flows here, forming the bedrock of your emergency fund and peace of mind. Nick, growth account and investments. 20% to 30% channels into low-cost index funds, high-yield savings, or retirement vehicles. Your compound engine in motion. 3. Opportunity account, innovation capital. 5% to 10% earmarked for seizing spontaneous chances, seed money for side projects, entrepreneurial bets, or education. 4. Debt elimination account, if applicable. 5% to 15% directed towards strategic debt payoff, reducing interest burdens and freeing cash flow faster. 5. Lifestyle account, 30% to 40% reserved for everyday living expenses, discretionary spending, and personal enrichment, ensuring you never feel deprived. You set up automated transfers within your online banking platform, scheduling each percentage to move the moment your paycheck clears or your gig earnings deposit. Within minutes, your earnings are parceled like carefully measured ingredients, destined for the right financial recipe. You no longer agonize over how much to save. The decision happens automatically. You watch these transfers glide through your digital ledger, a quiet orchestra of abundance reminding you that your system works whether you're awake, asleep, or absorbed in creative flow. Next, you build expense categorization rules. Within your budgeting app, you define categories: essentials, growth, fun, giving, and learning, and attach rules that sort incoming and outgoing transactions into the correct buckets. Groceries auto-sort into essentials, coffee shop treats into fun, course subscriptions into learning. Over time, you generate real-time dashboards that reveal spending patterns and budget variances without manual tagging. You glance at your phone to see a live pie chart of your financial life, knowing exactly where your resources flow and where minor adjustments can amplify your growth. To guard your lifestyle account from stealthy leaks, you set up subscription audits every quarter. You launch an automated email summary from your bank or budgeting tool that lists all recurring charges. You scan the list once, 2 minutes of your attention, and cancel any subscriptions that no longer serve your developing identity. You swiftly eliminate that forgotten streaming service, the newsletter membership with little ROI, or the gym membership you never use. This regular purge ensures that every dollar reserved for lifestyle truly enhances your life, rather than slipping away on autopilot expenses. You then automate your investment contributions. You link your brokerage account and schedule recurring purchases of index funds, ETFs, or targeted securities on a weekly or bi-weekly cadence. You choose dividend reinvestment plans, DRIP-ES, where possible, ensuring that dividends compound into more shares without requiring manual intervention. Each dollar sent to your growth account transforms into a tiny worker, toiling around the clock to multiply your wealth, all without triggering a single decision fatigue moment for you. For your opportunity account, you adopt a flexible system that encourages experimentation. You use a dedicated online wallet or app that allows instant transfers and fast returns. When an idea sparks, a limited-time mastermind course, a micro investment in a promising startup. A domain name that calls your name. You tap into this account and move quickly. If you decide not to proceed, you roll that capital back into the same bucket with a few taps, keeping your innovation catalyst perpetually ready. Your debt elimination account embraces a snowball or avalanche method, automated, of course. You configure your loan providers and credit cards to withdraw fixed extra payments each month, layering those amounts on top of your minimum payments. If you prefer psychological momentum, you attack the smallest balance first, snowball, celebrating quick victories. If you want to minimize interest costs, you tackle the highest rate debt, avalanche. Either way, automation ensures consistency and preventing late fees and emotional decision-making from derailing your plan. You appreciate that well-designed systems are fail-safe by design. You set up low balance alerts and minimum balance protections to avoid overdrafts. You keep a small buffer in your lifestyle account to absorb any timing mismatches. You unlink autopay from accounts that might lack funds and instead create a sweep account that automatically tops up any account that dips below a preset threshold. This ensures that your automated machine hums continuously without hiccups. To reinforce your prosperity blueprint, you integrate your automated infrastructure with your daily routines. You configure your phone's home screen to display your budgeting app's widget, providing live feedback on your sub-account balances. You program a daily push notification at 6 p.m. Check progress. Savings is at X%. Investments at Y%. Opportunities at Z%. This gentle reminder keeps your system top of mind without manual effort. You relish the satisfaction of watching your balances tick upward with minimal friction. Understanding that technology can glitch, you schedule a monthly system check. On the first Saturday of each month, you block 20 minutes to confirm all automated transfers executed correctly, review any unusual transactions, and verify bank and brokerage statements. This proactive audit ensures that small errors, an expired card, a system update, or a category misfire, are caught and corrected swiftly. Preserving the integrity of your automated pipeline, you also leverage automated income streams to fortify your infrastructure. Beyond regular wages or freelance fees, you explore digital products, subscription services, and affiliate partnerships. You create an online course on your area of expertise and host it on a platform that handles payment processing and content delivery automatically. You launch a membership site with monthly billing and exclusive content. You design digital templates or toolkits that customers can purchase and download at will. Each new product integrates seamlessly with your opportunity or growth account, feeding your automated pipeline with additional revenue without requiring your ongoing input. To facilitate these products, you use email automation. You build an email list and deploy a lead magnet, perhaps a free ebook or mini course, hosted on a landing page. When someone downloads the resource, they enter a nurturing sequence, automated emails that share high-value content, showcase success stories, and gently invite them to purchase your paid offerings. You craft this funnel once, a series of well-timed emails, and it operates continuously, converting prospects into customers while you remain engaged in other high-impact tasks. You recognize that automated reminders keep you aligned with your broader financial goals. You set calendar prompts for milestone reviews, quarterly net worth check-ins, semi-annual risk assessments for your portfolio, and annual tax planning sessions. You partner with a tax professional who integrates with your financial accounts and sends you a list of necessary documents each February, ensuring you never miss deductions or credits. These reminders free your mind from remembering dates, turning them into background tasks that execute reliably. To streamline charitable giving, you automate your generosity. You select causes or charities that resonate with your values and set up monthly donations from your giving sub-account. You receive a consolidated annual receipt for tax purposes and take satisfaction in knowing your automated kindness flows like a steady river. This commitment reaffirms your abundance mindset. You give because you have more than enough, and you witness the real-world impact of your generosity. You integrate cash flow forecasting tools into your infrastructure. You connect your accounts to a forecasting app that projects upcoming income and expenses, bills, subscription renewals, investment contributions, and seasonal fluctuations. Armed with this forward-looking insight, you adjust your sub-account percentages if necessary, perhaps boosting your opportunity fund in a high-earning month, or allocating a bit more to your anchor account when a major expense looms. This foresight preserves balance and keeps your automated system agile. Throughout this process, you remind yourself that automation is not about abdication. It empowers you to focus on strategic decision-making, creative pursuits, and personal growth. You are not handing over control. You are architecting a robust infrastructure that faithfully executes your chosen financial directives. You monitor, adjust, and refine, but you no longer expend precious cognitive energy on repetitive tasks. Over time, you witness the compounded impact of this automation. Your anchor account grows steadily, reaching the threshold that once felt years away. Your growth account accumulates shares, dividends, and interest, silently magnifying your wealth. Your opportunity account finances bold experiments, courses launched, joint ventures explored, some of which blossom into new revenue lines. Your debt account shrinks predictably, liberating cash flow for even more growth. Your lifestyle account funds joy without guilt, allowing you to enjoy the journey as much as the destination. By automating your financial infrastructure, you have transformed money management from a manual chore into a seamless background process. You have freed your mental bandwidth for the high-leverage activities that define your identity magnet, creating value, tuning frequencies, and expanding your vision. Your financial life now operates like a well-oiled machine, reliably channeling resources to support your goals and reflect your abundant blueprint. As this section draws to a close, you stand back and admire the architecture you've built. Multiple accounts flowing in harmony, rules and reminders orchestrating each transfer, and digital funnels generating ongoing inflows. You recognize that this automated infrastructure is the backbone of your prosperity, a system that works tirelessly so you can focus on your highest purpose. With this foundation firmly in place, your journey into compounding engines, creator mindsets, and legacy-building strategies becomes not just possible, but inevitable. You sense an electric thrill as you witness small seeds of capital morph into towering oaks of wealth, all without requiring your constant attention. This is the magic of the compound engine, the principle by which time and consistent contributions transform modest sums into life-altering fortunes. You've automated your infrastructure, and now you harness the most powerful financial force in the universe, exponential growth. As you embrace compounding, you no longer work for money. Instead, your money works tirelessly for you, generating returns that are reinvested to produce ever larger gains. Your journey begins with understanding the core concept. Compounding is interest on interest, earnings on earnings. You picture a single snowflake tumbling down a mountainside, gathering new flakes as it rolls, transforming into a formidable snowball. In the same way, every dollar you invest accrues returns, dividends, interest, capital gains, which then generate their own returns, creating an accelerating cycle of growth. The longer you allow this process to run, the more dramatic the results become. You open your investment account and review the balance. Perhaps it's modest, a few $1,000s, rather than feeling intimidated. So you smile, knowing that early contributions, no matter how small, harness decades of compounding to multiply exponentially. You decide to channel a fixed percentage of your growth account into a diversified portfolio of low-cost index funds and dividend-paying stocks. You set these purchases on autopilot, weekly or bi-weekly drafts, ensuring consistent inflows that feed the engine continuously. Each contribution sparks a chain reaction. You deposit $200 every month. At an average annual return of 7%, that $200 not only accumulates through your payments, but also yields about $14 in returns in the first month. Next month, you contribute another $200, and now that first month's $200 just earns its own interest. Over time, the returns outpace your direct contributions, and the snowball effect becomes unmistakable. To deepen your understanding, you run a mental simulation. If you start with zero and contribute $200 monthly for 30 years at 7% annual growth, you end up with approximately $250,000. If you began with a $5,000 initial investment, you clear $300,000. The difference the time makes astonishes you. Decades of patiently compounding turn small. Regular deposits into a life-changing sum. You realize that delaying contributions robs you of this cumulative advantage, while starting now, even with tiny amounts, maximizes the power of compounding. You also recognize that compounding applies not only to traditional investments, but to every asset that generates reinvestable returns. You explore dividend reinvestment plans, DIEP, programs that automatically convert dividends into additional shares. Each payout becomes another seed sown, increasing your share count and future dividend payments. This self-perpetuating cycle means you never miss an opportunity to compound your gains. Beyond stocks, you extend compounding to real estate. You purchase a small rental property, financing it with reasonable leverage. Each month, a rental income flows into your account after expenses. Rather than spending it, you plow a portion back into property improvements, upgrading fixtures, enhancing curb appeal, or adding rental-ready amenities. These improvements allow you to raise rents incrementally, increasing cash flow. You funnel the extra income into a savings vehicle, earmarked for your next property down payment, thereby compounding your real estate portfolio. Over years, your rental empire expands through a series of snowballing equity gains and reinvested cash flows. Similarly, you leverage compounding in your business endeavors. You invest time and resources into creating digital products, online courses, e-books, software tools that generate passive income. Earnings from these sales flow back into marketing efforts, paid ads, collaborations, affiliate partnerships. Each dollar reinvested yields more sales, which yield more marketing budget, which yield more sales again. This marketing compounding engine accelerates growth, turning a single product into a suite of offerings that multiply your revenue streams. You also appreciate the power of tax-advantaged accounts. You allocate a portion of your automated contributions into retirement accounts, 401k, IRA, or equivalent, which offer tax-deferred or tax-free growth. By sheltering your compounding returns from annual taxation, you preserve more capital to reinvest. You imagine two parallel compounding engines, one in a taxable brokerage account, the other inside your retirement vehicle. Both hum away, but the account shielded from taxes compounds more efficiently, leaving you with a larger nest egg over time. To ensure your compound engine runs at full tilt, you adopt a practice of rebalancing. Each quarter, you revisit your portfolio allocation, perhaps 60% equities, 30% bonds, 10% real assets. Market fluctuations cause drift. Equities may run hot, inflating that slice to 70%. To maintain risk control and systematic discipline, you sell a portion of the higher performing assets and reallocate proceeds into underweighted categories. This act of systematically selling high and buying low enhances your long-term returns. You automate rebalancing reminders, pairing them with your monthly system check, so your engine stays finely tuned. You embrace compound milestone mapping. You calculate how long it will take to reach specific goals. A $50,000 emergency fund, a $100,000 investment portfolio, a $250,000 net worth. You chart these milestones on a timeline, marking each expected arrival date based on current contribution rates and average returns. As you hit each milestone, you celebrate with a small ritual, perhaps a gratitude practice or a modest treat, reinforcing your commitment and acknowledging the engine's progress. These celebrations provide motivation to maintain consistency, reminding you that compounding rewards patience and discipline. Deepening your mastery. You explore the concept of continuous compound funds, instruments that reinvest your earnings instantly throughout the trading day, rather than on a monthly or quarterly basis. You research fractional share investing, which allows you to reinvest every penny of dividends immediately, minimizing cash drag and maximizing compounding efficiency. You configure your accounts to reinvest in the most continuous manner possible, squeezing every advantage from exponential growth. You also apply compounding to your professional skills. You identify a high-leverage competency, data analysis, persuasive communication, advanced coding, and invest in courses, mentors, and practice sessions. Each improvement in your skill set boosts your earning potential. You reinvest a portion of every raise or bonus into further skill development. This creates a skill compounding engine, where each level of mastery compounds your ability to command higher fees, negotiate better deals, and generate more revenue. Over time, your human capital exponentially grows, paralleling the financial compounding happening in your accounts. To maintain momentum, you institute a personal compounding dashboard. You integrate all your accounts, investments, real estate, business earnings, skill development metrics into a single visualization tool. You see lines tracking growth curves, your net worth, passive income flows, rental portfolio equity, digital product revenues, and skill level indices. Each curve arcs upward, compelling you with the kinetic energy of compound progress. You set alerts for each metric when it crosses predetermined thresholds, triggering celebratory notifications that reinforce your compounding habits. You also guard against compound risks. You recognize that compounding works for negative patterns too. Unchecked debt compounds with interest. Repeating poor behaviors creates downward spirals. To prevent such risks, you allocate a small portion of your opportunity account into risk mitigation, insurance, hedging strategies, and emergency credit lines. You ensure that unexpected downturns, market corrections, property vacancies, business slowdowns don't derail your engine. By insulating your core compounding machine, you preserve its momentum and protect your long-term trajectory. As you witness your wealth metrics ticking upward, you experience a profound shift in mindset. You no longer view money as something that must be hoarded or chased. You see it as a seedbed for growth, patiently nurturing the conditions for compounding to flourish. You find joy in the process, checking balances with anticipation rather than anxiety, tweaking your contributions to optimize growth, and sharing your insights with peers who are eager to ignite their own engines. You also understand that compounding rewards consistency over timing. You resist the temptation to time the market or chase hot tips. You maintain your automated contributions regardless of short-term volatility, trusting in the power of dollar-cost averaging to smooth out fluctuations. You remind yourself that trying to beat the market often disrupts the compounding engine through erratic behaviors, selling low in panic or concentrating risk in illiquid assets. Instead, you stick to your strategic plan, staying the course to harness the reliable engine of exponential growth. One crisp morning, you pause by your desk and watch the graph on your dashboard curve sharply upward. You feel a surge of pride, not because you're extraordinarily lucky, but because you honored the simple principle of compounding every day. For months and years, you touched down $50 at a time, month after month, trusting that each deposit would feed the engine, fueling returns that would feed themselves. And now, that engine has reached a self-sustaining velocity, propelling you inexorably toward your most ambitious financial goals. You take a moment to reflect on the ripple effect. As your wealth compounds, you gain the freedom to pursue deeper passions, philanthropic ventures, creative projects, ventures that resonate with your soul rather than your wallet. You share compound-derived gains with causes you believe in, watching remote villages gain access to clean water or underprivileged students receive scholarships. Your wealth engine becomes a vector for positive change, not only in your life, but in the lives of countless others. As this section draws to a close, you stand in awe of the compound engine's silent, relentless power. You realize that your greatest triumph is not the size of your portfolio today, but the fact that you have mastered a principle that, with patience and discipline, can generate infinite possibilities. Every dollar you invest, every dividend you reinvest, every moment you resist the urge to derail your contributions, all of it compounds toward a future where wealth is not a destination, but an unstoppable journey. With compounding as your co-pilot, you step confidently toward the next phase, transforming consumer habits into creator mindsets, building a legacy that transcends your lifetime, and ultimately becoming the living embodiment of wealth itself. The compound engine hums within and around you, a testament to your commitment and the timeless law that makes the patient rich. You wake to a startling insight. For far too long, you've been locked into the role of a consumer, endlessly spending money on things that provide fleeting satisfaction, always chasing the next upgrade, the latest gadget, the superficial status symbol. You realize that while consumption might temporarily fill a void, it never builds lasting wealth. Today, you choose a new identity, creator, the architect of value, the producer of solutions, the one who generates wealth by building assets, not by depleting them. By making this shift, you transcend the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle and step into a reality where every action you take becomes a catalyst for growth. First, you examine your past behavior as a consumer. You recall the rush of excitement when unboxing a new device, the pride in showing off the purchase, the momentary boost in mood, and then the inevitable slide back to ordinary life before long. You remember subscribing to streaming services you rarely used, buying gym memberships you never attended, and downloading apps cluttering your phone. Each purchase whispered the lie, "I am spending, therefore I am living." But these expenditures were liabilities. They drained your financial resources and created little lasting value. You understand now that wealth is built through ownership, not ownership of toys, but ownership of assets that produce income or appreciate over time. You decide to reallocate a portion of your lifestyle account, once earmarked for impulsive purchases, into creating intellectual property, digital products, and passive income streams. You make a clear commitment. For every dollar you once spent on consumption, you will invest a portion into creation. To internalize this, you craft a simple mantra: I am a creator. I build assets that generate abundance. You write it on a card and place it beside your computer. Each time you reach for your wallet with the intention to consume, you look at the card and ask, how can I create instead? Over time, this question becomes automatic, rewiring your consumer impulse into a creative spark. You begin by identifying your creator canvas, the domain where your unique talents intersect with market needs. You list your strengths: writing, design, coding, coaching, analysis, storytelling, or network building. Next to each, you brainstorm how that skill can be packaged into a scalable offering: an ebook, an online course, a subscription newsletter, a software tool, a membership community, or a consulting framework. For example, writing: self-published guide on your area of expertise, available on major platforms. Design: template packs for websites or social media, sold via your personal storefront. Coding: a plugin or app that solves a specific pain point in your niche. Coaching: group coaching program with a curriculum and support community. Analysis: automated dashboards or templates that businesses can license. You choose one concept that resonates most, say an online workshop teaching professionals to confidently negotiate higher freelance rates. You sketch an outline, module topics, learning objectives, and hands-on exercises. You determine your delivery method: live, virtual sessions, recorded videos, or a hybrid, and the platform you'll use. You set a firm timeline: 2 weeks to develop content, 1 week to build landing pages and promotional assets, and 1 week to launch. As you draft your workshop curriculum, you feel a surge of creative energy. You gather stories from your own experience, moments when you hesitated to ask for a raise and moments you did, lessons learned, scripts that worked. You organize them into compelling case studies. You create templates clients can customize: email scripts, rate calculator spreadsheets, negotiation frameworks. Each element you designed is an asset, a tool that can be sold, upgraded, and reused indefinitely. You structure your creator workflow to ensure momentum. Munch's daily creation block: you dedicate a fixed 2-hour slot each morning to work on your creator project. During this time, you eliminate distractions: phone on silent, notifications off, browser limited to necessary research tabs. You enter a state of deep focus, knowing that consistent action fuels creation. And true, weekly milestone review. Every Friday, you review your progress: content drafted, pages built, promotional copy written, beta testers gathered. You track these milestones on a visible board, physical or digital, and celebrate small wins that affirm your creator identity. Reprogram, monthly launch event. You plan a launch webinar, virtual open house, or live Q&A to share your creator offering with your network. You build anticipation through email sequences and social posts, inviting people to RSVP. Each launch becomes both a revenue event and a learning experience, gathering feedback to refine your product. Simultaneously, you cultivate a creator mindset that embraces experimentation and iteration rather than perfectionism. You remind yourself that successful products rarely emerge fully formed. They evolve through user feedback. You launch your workshop in beta at a discounted rate, inviting early participants to shape its final form. Their testimonials become social proof. Their suggestions guide enhancements, and their success stories add credibility to your marketing. This iterative approach accelerates your learning and compounding growth. You also design a content engine to continuously feed your audience with value. You commit to a weekly blog post or video that discusses insights related to your creator offering, negotiation tips, pricing strategies, success stories, and bonus exercises. Each piece drives traffic to your landing page, educates your prospects, and reinforces your authority. You schedule these content pieces in advance, using automation tools to publish and share them across platforms without manual intervention. To deepen your creator impact, you build a community hub. You invite workshop participants into a private group on Slack, Discord, or a closed social media circle where they can ask questions, share victories, and support one another. You facilitate discussions, host monthly live Q&A sessions, and spotlight member successes. This community becomes both a support network and a repository of user-generated content that amplifies your creator identity. Members recommend your workshop to peers, providing organic referrals that expand your reach. You recognize that as a creator, your most valuable currency is attention. You guard your creative time fiercely, declining consumer distractions, endless scrolling, impulse shopping, mindless entertainment that deplete your bandwidth. Instead, you allocate a fixed amount of time each week to leisure, reading inspiring biographies, watching educational videos, or engaging in hobbies that replenish your creativity. You treat these recharging activities as essential inputs, not optional extras. This disciplined allocation of attention ensures you have the mental clarity to produce high-impact work. You also harness strategic partnerships to magnify your creator reach. You identify complementary creators or influencers in adjacent niches, perhaps a productivity coach whose audience overlaps with your negotiation workshop participants. You propose joint webinars, bundled offerings, or affiliate programs where you refer clients to each other. These partnerships create cross-pollination of audiences and exponentially amplify your impact. Instead of marketing solo, you leverage the networks of others who have already cultivated trust, accelerating your journey from consumer to prominent creator. To maintain momentum, you implement a feedback loop. You integrate surveys, polls, and direct questions into your course and content channels, asking participants what resonates most, which materials need clarification, and what additional topics they crave. You review this feedback weekly, making rapid adjustments, adding clarifying examples, enhancing resource checklists, or introducing new modules. This responsiveness demonstrates your commitment to delivering maximum value. It fosters loyalty among your community. As your creator ecosystem grows, you introduce tiered offerings. You design an entry-level mini course at a low price point, a mid-tier full workshop or group coaching at a premium, and a high-end one-on-one mentoring program. Each tier delivers deeper levels of support and customization, meeting the needs of different segments of your audience. You craft clear upgrade paths. Participants in the mini course receive exclusive invites to join the full workshop. Workshop graduates are offered personalized coaching packages. This tiered structure transforms one-time customers into long-term patrons, increasing your lifetime value per client and reinforcing your creator role. Meanwhile, you protect your creative time and focus by delegating or automating administrative tasks. You hire a virtual assistant to manage routine inquiries, schedule group calls, and compile resource lists. You use scheduling tools that allow prospects to book discovery calls directly into your calendar, eliminating back-and-forth emails. You implement payment processors and membership platforms that handle subscriptions, renewals, and cancellations automatically. By delegating low-value tasks, you free yourself to concentrate on high-leverage creation, fueling continuous expansion. You also embed value multipliers into your creator model. You create bonus packs, worksheets, checklists, resource directories that complement your main offering. You license your branded content to corporate clients, workshops, or educational institutions, generating B2B revenue streams with minimal incremental effort. You apply for speaking engagements at conferences, positioning yourself as an expert and gaining exposure to new audiences. Each multiplier extends the reach and revenue potential of your original work without exponentially increasing your time investment. Recognizing that the creator path carries its own cycles of demand and renewal, you establish a seasonal calendar. You plan product launches, promotional campaigns, and community events around natural rhythms: beginning of the year, mid-year refresh, back-to-school season, year-end planning, aligning your offerings with the moments when people are most receptive to growth and transformation. This seasonal approach avoids burnout and consumer fatigue, allowing you to concentrate promotional intensity during key windows and rest, or innovate during less active periods. You keep a vigilant eye on your key performance indicators, KPIs, email list growth, conversion rates, course completion metrics, community engagement levels, and revenue by product tier. You review these metrics monthly, identifying trends and pivoting strategies as needed. If a particular module sees low completion rates, you enhance its interactivity or clarity. If open rates dip, you refine your email subject lines and content. This data-driven approach ensures your creator ecosystem remains adaptive and resilient. As your creator identity solidifies, you notice an extraordinary transformation. You no longer feel the urge to consume to fill emotional gaps. You consume strategically, investing in books, courses, tools, or experiences that contribute directly to your creator mission. You view each purchase through the lens of, will this help me produce more value? If it does, you acquire it. If not, you let it pass. This disciplined filter accelerates your growth and conserves resources for creation. Over time, your creator ventures compound similarly to your financial engine. Your initial workshop spawns an evergreen self-study course. Your digital templates become a subscription toolkit. Your community evolves into a membership platform with monthly fees. Revenue streams multiply, each feeding back into content development, marketing automation, and further asset creation. Your creative ecosystem hums like a well-tuned orchestra, each component reinforcing the others, generating continuous growth and expanding impact. You also recognize that being a creator is about more than personal gain. It's about shaping the world. Your work empowers others to negotiate fair compensation, boosting their confidence and incomes. They, in turn, become creators in their own right, paying it forward. This ripple effect magnifies your impact far beyond what you could achieve alone, weaving a tapestry of empowerment and prosperity throughout your network. As this section draws to a close, you stand firmly in your new identity, no longer a consumer dependent on external products and fleeting pleasures, but a creator who designs, builds, and nurtures assets that generate value, income, and transformation. You have transcended the scarcity mindset of consumption, stepping into an abundant realm of production. With every piece of content you create, every course you launch, and every community you cultivate, you reinforce your creator legacy and draw wealth naturally towards you. You are the architect of your financial destiny, and your creator identity ensures that prosperity is not a distant mirage, but a living reality, an ongoing testament to your ability to produce, innovate, and uplift. The path of creation stretches before you, rich with possibility, and you stride forward with confidence, ready to build a legacy of abundance that outlives you. You settle into a familiar seat, notebook in hand, heart beating with anticipation, because today you undertake the most profound work of all, mastering the psychology of money. You recognize that while systems, assets, and frequency tuning have propelled your journey, the deepest layer of transformation lies within the subterranean patterns of your mind. You prepare to illuminate, deconstruct, and reconstruct your subconscious narratives, until every neuron aligns with abundance and financial dominance and becomes your default operating system. You begin by acknowledging a fundamental truth. Financial success is 80% mindset and only 20% strategy. Without the right inner software, even the most brilliant plans glitch and stall. You recall times when doubt crept in as you negotiated, when fear dictated your pricing, when old voices whispered, "You don't deserve this." Those voices were programmed long ago, running on autopilot, sabotaging your progress in subtle, insidious ways. To master your money psychology, you commit to a 4-phase process. 1 limiting belief excavation. 2, belief replacement and reinforcement. 3, blueprint activation through embodied practice. Number 4, sustained growth via iterative calibration. 1, limiting belief excavation. You close your eyes and breathe deeply, entering a meditative state that allows you to access the vast underground network of subconscious beliefs. You gently ask yourself, what beliefs do I hold about money that no longer serve me? You allow memories to surface. A parent's admonition that money doesn't grow on trees. A teacher's aside that financial success was for other people. A traumatic moment when a bill collector's call left you shaking. You jot each belief on a fresh page, honoring its origin without judgment. You list them one by one. I am not smart enough to manage large sums. Money is the root of all evil. If I ask for more, I'll be rejected. Rich people are greedy. Needs, sir. Debt is a trap. I'll never break this cycle of struggle. As you write, you feel the emotional charge tied to each phrase: shame, fear, resignation. You pause to breathe into those sensations, observing them as a researcher would observe data, curious and compassionate. You thank each belief for its historical service, how it protected you, tempered your expectations, or kept you grounded. But you now grant it permission to retire. Next, you trace the behavioral roots of these beliefs. For each limiting thought, you ask, how has this belief shaped my actions? You see patterns emerge. Because you believed you weren't smart enough, you underpriced your services. Because you feared greed, you subconsciously downplayed your wins in social settings. Because you dreaded rejection, you avoided asking for raises or negotiating contracts. You record these insights, aware that unaddressed beliefs will continue to mold your behavior. You commit to shining a relentless spotlight on these patterns, exposing them so they lose their power. 2, belief replacement and reinforcement. With your excavation complete, you pivot to creation, constructing a suite of empowering beliefs that will supplant the old ones. You approach this as an architect designs a new foundation, ensuring it is solid, resonant, and aligned with your vision of financial dominance. For each limiting belief, you craft a high-impact replacement, phrased in the present tense and imbued with conviction. Old belief. New empowering belief. I am not smart enough to manage large sums. I possess boundless financial intelligence and grow it daily. Money is the root of all evil. Money is a force for good, amplifying my capacity to make impact. If I ask for more, I'll be rejected. When I request fair compensation, I cultivate respect and abundance. Rich people are greedy. Wealthy individuals use resources to uplift communities. Debt is a trap. When used strategically, leverage accelerates my growth. I'll never break this cycle of struggle. Each day, I step further into a legacy of prosperity. You write these replacements on individual index cards, creating your empowerment deck. Each morning and evening, you draw a card, read it aloud with feeling, and let its vibrations settle into your bones. You imagine each statement as a seed planted deep within your psyche, destined to flourish. To reinforce these new programs, you launch a 30-day mindset immersion. Morning affirmations. Upon waking, you stand tall, look in the mirror, and declare each empowering belief 3 times with unwavering conviction. You feel the words resonate from your diaphragm, sending ripples through your nervous system. Noon. Reality checks. At midday, you pause and self-assess. You journal any scarcity thoughts that arose and immediately counter them with the corresponding empowering belief. If doubt surfaces, say, "I'm not enough." You catch it and replace it. "I am financial master of my destiny." Evening visualization. Before sleep, you close your eyes and vividly imagine scenarios where the empowering belief manifests in real life. Negotiating a lucrative contract with poise, seeing your investments multiply, directing debt toward strategic growth. You engage all your senses to solidify the new neural connections. This tripartite ritual saturates your days with progressive reprogramming, ensuring that you don't simply think new thoughts, but feel and embody them at every level. 3. Blueprint activation through embodied practice. Beliefs alone, though powerful, require embodied practice for full activation. You understand that the body is the final frontier of the subconscious. Until you integrate new beliefs into your posture, voice, and gestures, the old wiring can still dominate, silently sabotaging your efforts. You begin with postural anchoring. You stand in front of your desk, feet hip-width apart, shoulders back, chest open, chin parallel to the ground. You adopt what you call the prosperity pose, a physical stance that conveys unshakable confidence. You practice it in micro moments, before calls, prior to meetings, and even when sending pivotal emails. Holding this pose recalibrates your autonomic nervous system, reducing stress responses and aligning your body with abundance. Next, you refine your vocal cadence. You record yourself speaking your empowering beliefs and key financial affirmations. You listen critically to tone, pace, and energy. You practice speaking them with clarity and power, allowing your voice to carry the gravity of your new identity. Over time, you notice your everyday conversations adopt this confident cadence. No more faltering ums or passive qualifiers like maybe or I think. You incorporate gesture mapping. You identify specific hand gestures, like grounding your fist on the table to symbolize stability when discussing savings, or a sweeping palm upward to signify growth when outlining investment plans. These gestures become nonverbal anchors. Whenever you use them in real financial discussions, they trigger the empowering neural pathways associated with your new beliefs. You also engage in emotional evocation. You select a powerful memory of triumph, perhaps when you first closed a big deal, negotiated a raise, or received heartfelt praise for your work. You relive that moment in vivid detail, the sights, sounds, smells, and sensations. You summon the emotions, pride, excitement, gratitude, and you memorize the exact body posture, facial expression, and breath pattern. From then on, you practice a success flash, a 15-second micro-meditation where you tap into that triumphant state and anchor it with a hand on your heart. Whenever self-doubt surfaces, you execute your success flash to recalibrate your energy instantly. Finally, you layer in environmental cues. You place symbolic objects in your workspace, a polished stone that represents strength, a miniature vault for security, a framed success quote that serve as tactile reminders of your empowered beliefs. Each time you touch or glance at these objects, you reinforce your new subcontract, I am the architect of my financial mastery. Through these embodied practices, you activate your blueprint at every level, mental, emotional, and physical, ensuring that you operate from abundance as naturally as you breathe. 4. Sustained growth via iterative calibration mastery is not a one-off event, but an ongoing cycle of calibration. You dedicate time each week to review your psychological KPIs, key pattern indicators, and adjust your mindset regimen accordingly. You create a mindset dashboard in your journal with 2 columns: triggers of scarcity and elevation strategies. Throughout the week, you log moments when old scarcity patterns attempted to resurface, unexpected expenses spiking anxiety, hesitant language in a negotiation, hesitation to invest. You jot the date, context, and sensation. Then, for each trigger, you assign a targeted elevation strategy, whether a new affirmation, an embodied practice, or a particular environmental tweak, every Saturday morning. You review this dashboard, celebrating the triggers you successfully diffused and refining strategies for those that persisted. You add new resources to your toolkit, perhaps a guided meditation, a peer check-in call, or a relevant workshop, and fortify your evolving blueprint. You also measure progress through behavioral feedback loops. You set clear metrics: negotiation, win rate, percentage of successful negotiations or raises achieved, investment courage index, instances where you kidded beyond minimum contributions, risk-taking frequency, number of strategic risks taken, new asset classes explored, business pilots launched, emotional resilience score, self-rated ability to bounce back from financial setbacks. You track these metrics monthly using a simple spreadsheet or app. When metrics climb, you recognize the correlation between your mindset work and real-world outcomes. When they dip, you dig into the logs to uncover which subconscious patterns might still be lurking and schedule targeted recalibration for the coming week. To deepen your mastery, you engage in peer accountability. You partner with a fellow wealth builder who also commits to mindset reprogramming. You exchange weekly updates, sharing your successes, your challenges, and your audit insights. You offer constructive feedback and fresh perspectives, expanding your awareness of blind spots that solitary practice might overlook. You also seek expert intervention when necessary. You schedule quarterly sessions with a mindset coach or cognitive therapist specialized in financial psychology. You dive deeper into persistent blocks, perhaps stemming from generational trauma or undiagnosed limiting patterns, ensuring your blueprint evolves continuously. Importantly, you maintain compassionate curiosity throughout this process. You recognize that the journey to psychological mastery is inherently dynamic. New triggers will emerge as you ascend to higher levels of abundance. Rather than chastising yourself for slip-ups, you approach them with genuine curiosity. What can this reveal about my next growth frontier? And gratitude that each hiccup is an invitation to refine your blueprint further. As this section draws to a close, you feel the tectonic plates of your subconscious shifting under the steady affirmation of your new programming. You've excavated the limiting beliefs that once bound you, replaced them with empowering convictions, etched them into your body's default settings, and established a disciplined cycle of calibration. In doing so, you have unleashed the full power of your psychological engine, ensuring that every thought, every emotion, and every action resonates at a frequency of unshakable abundance and financial dominance. You no longer approach money from a place of reaction, but from a vantage of confident mastery. You greet each financial decision with clarity, knowing your mind's architecture is optimized for wealth. You stand poised, ready to translate this psychological mastery into the next phases of legacy building, asset ownership, and the ultimate transformation of becoming money itself. You stand on a ridge overlooking a vast horizon, feeling the silent weight of generations pressing gently against your shoulders. You realize that wealth, in its most powerful form, is not merely for your lifetime, but for the lifetimes to come. Today, you adopt the legacy mindset, thinking not in terms of years or decades, but in terms of centuries. You commit to creating structures and assets that not only sustain your prosperity, but also cultivate it for your children, grandchildren, and beyond. This shift elevates your purpose from personal gain to generational stewardship, transforming wealth into an enduring testament to your vision and values. You begin by picturing your great-grandchildren's lives a century from now. You imagine them inheriting a portfolio of assets, properties that still generate positive cash flow, businesses that operate seamlessly under new leadership, intellectual property that continues to spark innovation, and philanthropic foundations that support causes you championed. You see their faces glowing with opportunity, their choices unburdened by financial scarcity. This vision ignites in you a profound sense of responsibility to build not just for your comfort, but for the flourishing of your lineage. To crystallize this vision, you craft your legacy declaration. I build wealth that outlives me, empowering generations to come. You write it in your journal and commit it to memory. You recite it each morning, letting the words settle into your consciousness and shape every decision. You know that legacy building requires not only immediate action, but also a mindset oriented toward permanence, resilient, and ethical stewardship. Next, you map the 4 pillars of generational wealth. Worry 1, durable asset creation. 2, protection and succession structures. Number 3, intergenerational education and cultivation. Number 4, purpose-driven philanthropy. 1, durable asset creation. You recognize that for wealth to endure, it must rest on assets capable of weathering economic storms and evolving across eras. You decide to diversify across multiple asset classes, each selected for its resilience and generative potential. Real estate portfolios. You acquire a mix of residential, commercial, and industrial properties in strategic locations. You emphasize cash flow positive assets, rental homes, apartment complexes, warehouses that generate steady income. You research emerging markets and demographic trends, ensuring your holdings remain desirable for tenants over decades. You structure each purchase through limited liability companies, LLCs, to isolate risk and simplify succession. Business ownership and equity stakes. You identify industries with long-term growth potential, renewable energy, healthcare innovation, sustainable agriculture, and position yourself as a founding investor or majority stakeholder. You recruit exceptional management teams with proven track records and establish governance frameworks, boards of directors, advisory councils, and transparent reporting to ensure continuity as leadership transitions. You implement performance-based incentives tied to company growth, aligning the interests of current and future stewards. Intellectual property and royalties. You create or acquire patents, trademarks, copyrights, and licensing agreements that generate passive income. You invest in research and development, supporting innovations in technology, materials, science, or creative media. You ensure rigorous record-keeping and legal oversight, automating royalty tracking and distribution. And these intangible assets become timeless revenue sources, books that sell worldwide, software licenses renewed annually, patented processes employed by industrial clients, financial investments with endowment funds. You allocate a portion of your portfolio to a perpetual endowment, structured much like university endowments. You define a conservative spend rate, typically 4% of the endowment's value each year, so that the principal remains intact while supporting initiatives or distributions. You select a diversified mix of equities, bonds, and alternative strategies managed by experienced fiduciaries. This endowment serves as a financial bedrock, financing scholarships, community projects, or family grants in perpetuity. As you assemble these durable assets, you codify clear ownership guidelines, each asset's purpose, governance, and succession plan. You draft charters and bylaws that specify how decisions will be made, how profits will be reinvested or distributed, and how leadership roles will pass from one generation to the next. You create an asset registry, a secure digital ledger detailing every holding, its valuation history, associated documents, and key contacts, ensuring transparency and ease of transfer when the time comes. 2. Protection and succession structures. You understand that wealth, if unguarded, can evaporate through taxes, legal challenges, or mismanagement. To shield your legacy, you establish robust protection and succession structures. Trusts and foundations. You set up a series of irrevocable and revocable trusts, each tailored to specific objectives: education, healthcare, entrepreneurship, or charitable initiatives. Revocable trusts give you flexibility during your lifetime, enabling adjustments as circumstances change. If revocable trusts lock in favorable tax treatment and creditor protection, you designate trustees, trusted family members or professional fiduciaries who adhere to clear trust instruments that dictate distributions, investment policies, and the conditions under which assets pass to beneficiaries. Family holding company. You organize a family holding company to consolidate your business and real estate assets under a single corporate umbrella. Share classes distinguish voting rights, dividend entitlements, and transfer restrictions. You implement equity vesting schedules for heirs, tying share ownership to performance, education, or community service milestones. This structure simplifies ownership transitions and ensures that assets remain within the family's control. Estate planning and tax optimization. You work with estate planning attorneys and tax advisors to minimize estate and inheritance taxes. You leverage annual gift exclusions, lifetime exemptions, and strategic charitable contributions. You consider establishing a grantor-retained annuity trust, GRAT, to transfer appreciating assets to heirs with minimal gift tax impact. You also explore family limited partnerships, FLPs, to centralize asset management while offering valuation discounts for minority interests, further reducing tax liabilities upon transfer. Insurance and liability coverage. You secure umbrella insurance policies that protect against lawsuits, personal liabilities, and unforeseen catastrophes. You ensure each business entity carries adequate directors and officers, D&O insurance, and general liability coverage. You maintain key person insurance on critical leadership figures, ensuring continuity if a key stakeholder passes unexpectedly. You craft a succession roadmap, a detailed timeline outlining when and how leadership roles will transition, how trustees and directors are chosen, and what governance training heirs must complete. You schedule regular family governance retreats, annual gatherings where family members review financial performance, governance policies, and future strategies. These retreats foster unity, clarify roles, and allow each generation to understand their responsibilities before formal succession occurs. 3. Intergenerational education and cultivation. You recognize that even the most meticulously structured assets can falter if heirs lack the knowledge, values, and responsibility to steward them. To prevent the common fate of shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations, you invest heavily in intergenerational education and cultivation. Family education programs, starting when children reach adolescence, You introduce age-appropriate education on financial literacy, business ethics, and wealth psychology. You host interactive workshops covering topics like budgeting, investing basics, entrepreneurship, and the social responsibilities of wealth. You use real-life examples from the family's own enterprises and investments, transforming abstract concepts into tangible lessons. Mentorship and apprenticeships. Each next-generation member selects a mentor, either a family executive, trusted advisor, or external industry expert in a field aligned with their interests. They spend designated hours quarterly in hands-on projects, shadowing executive meetings, analyzing financial statements, or working on real estate due diligence. This apprenticeship model ensures practical experience and ingrains operational understanding. Leadership development. You sponsor participation in programs at top universities or specialized institutes in governance, philanthropy, and impact investing. You encourage attendance at global forums on family enterprise and wealth stewardship. You establish scholarships within your endowment for heirs to pursue advanced studies, provided they commit to returning and contributing to the family enterprise for a specified period. Values transmission. You codify a family constitution, a living document that articulates your core values, mission statement, conflict resolution protocols, and commitment to the greater good. Each generation revisits and refines this constitution during family retreats, ensuring that the guiding principles remain relevant and resonate with each cohort. To reinforce these educational efforts, you implement annual family projects, collaborative endeavors that blend learning with real impact. 1 year, the project that might involve conducting market research for a new business venture. Another year, it might center on designing a philanthropic initiative for underprivileged youth. These projects foster teamwork, problem solving, and a shared sense of purpose. You also create a legacy library, a digital archive containing recorded interviews with founding members, detailed case studies of pivotal business decisions, and lessons learned from both successes and failures. Heirs access this repository regularly, drawing on the collective wisdom of previous generations as they navigate their own paths. Mafferforter, purpose-driven philanthropy. You acknowledge that wealth, when hoarded, stagnates, but when channeled thoughtfully into the world, it blossoms into positive change. To ensure your legacy transcends mere financial metrics, you commit to purpose-driven philanthropy, aligning your resources with causes that reflect your family's deepest convictions. Strategic foundation. You establish a family foundation with a clear mission, perhaps advancing educational equity, environmental conservation, or global health initiatives. You define grant-making guidelines, application processes, and evaluation criteria to ensure that funds flow to high-impact organizations and projects. You create a governing board that includes family members and independent experts, balancing personal passion with objective assessment. Impact investing. You allocate a portion of your portfolio to mission-aligned investments, enterprises that aim for both financial returns and measurable social or environmental benefits. You engage with environmental, social, and governance (ESG) funds, direct private equity and sustainable ventures, and social impact bonds that fund preventive social programs. You measure impact metrics, all carbon reduced, lives touched, communities uplifted, alongside financial performance. Collective giving opportunities. You involve heirs in the philanthropic process through family giving circles. Each member proposes a charity or project, presents their research, and advocates for funding during quarterly meetings. The group votes on allocations, ensuring that every generation has a voice in directing the family's benevolence. Legacy projects. You commission long-term initiatives, building schools in underserved regions, funding clean water infrastructures, or underwriting research for disease eradication that carry the family name and reflect your enduring values. You establish named endowments within your foundation, ensuring perpetual support for these signature projects. Philanthropic apprenticeship. Next generation members serve as junior fellowships within the foundation, rotating through grant-making, program management, and evaluation roles. They attend conferences on effective philanthropy, engage with nonprofit leaders, and co-author impact reports. This deep immersion cultivates empathy, strategic thinking, and a lifelong commitment to social good. You track philanthropic KPIs, number of lives served, environmental metrics achieved, educational outcomes, alongside your financial dashboards. You publish annual impact reports, celebrating milestones and transparently acknowledging areas for improvement. This practice cements your family's reputation as responsible stewards of wealth and amplifies the ripple effect of your giving. Weaving it all together, as you integrate these four pillars: durable asset creation, protection and succession structures, intergenerational education, and purpose-driven philanthropy, you witness the emergence of a coherent legacy ecosystem. Each component reinforces the others. Your durable assets generate the financial firepower that fuels philanthropic grants and educational programs. Your legal and governance structures safeguard those assets and ensure smooth generational transitions. Your educational initiatives cultivate capable stewards who honor the family constitution and adapt to evolving challenges. Your philanthropic endeavors broadcast your family's values, attracting like-minded collaborators and inspiring future heirs to uphold the legacy. To maintain momentum, you schedule a biennial legacy summit, a multi-day retreat where family members, advisors, and mentors convene to review progress, celebrate achievements, and recalibrate strategies. You present performance reports on asset growth, succession readiness, educational outcomes, and philanthropic impact. You host workshops on next-generation leadership, invite guest speakers on cutting-edge topics, and craft action plans for the coming cycle. You also embed legacy rituals into your family culture, an annual day of service where you volunteer together at community projects, a yearly dinner commemorating the founding generation's milestones, and a recurring traditions of passing a symbolic heirloom, perhaps a journal containing the family constitution, from one generation to the next. Through these rituals, you transform abstract principles into lived experiences, reinforcing the bonds between family members and the values that guide your journey. You instill a sense of shared ownership and collective pride, ensuring that legacy is not a burden, but an aspirational adventure that every generation eagerly undertakes. As this section draws to a close, you feel the full weight and exhilaration of your commitment. You are no longer merely an individual pursuing personal prosperity, but the architect of a multi-generational tapestry of wealth, purpose, and impact. You stand ready to guide your lineage through the ages, ensuring that your name resonates not only in financial records, but in the hearts and minds of countless lives touched by your legacy. You have embraced the legacy mindset, thinking centuries ahead, building structures that endure, educating stewards who understand their privilege and responsibility, and channeling your prosperity toward meaningful change. This is the blueprint for generational abundance, one that transcends your lifetime and ripples forward into the vast tapestry of human history. You step into a new realm of financial mastery, one that goes beyond merely accumulating assets into owning them outright, becoming the stakeholder, the beneficiary, and the steward of enduring wealth. This section focuses on asset ownership, the transformative practice of acquiring and managing income-producing assets that generate self-sustaining, lifelong income streams. By deliberately selecting, structuring, and optimizing these assets, You ensure that your financial foundation not only grows, but persists indefinitely, freeing you from the cycle of time for money dependence and embedding prosperity into every facet of your life. You begin by clarifying what qualifies as an asset. An asset is anything you own that generates more value over time without requiring your constant labor. These include 1. Equity investments, stocks, exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, private equity, and venture capital that offer ownership stakes in companies. 2. Fixed income instruments, bond funds, and certificates of deposit that provide predictable interest payments. And 3. Real estate holdings, residential rentals, commercial properties, REITs, and land that produce rental income or appreciate in value. Number 4. Business ventures, ownership or equity stakes in operating businesses, from startups to established enterprises that generate profits. 5. Intellectual property, patents, trademarks, copyrights, and digital products, ebooks, courses, software that yield royalties or licensing fees. And 6. Alternative assets, commodities, collectibles, art, and cryptocurrency, assets that can diversify risk and potential returns. Your goal is to build a balanced asset portfolio that weaves these various classes into a harmonious ecosystem, each component reinforcing the others to produce consistent, diversified income and growth. 1. Defining your ownership objectives. You begin with clear objectives. Income generation. Target a level of passive yield that covers living expenses, ensuring financial independence. Capital appreciation. Seek assets poised for long-term value growth, outpacing inflation. Risk mitigation. Diversify across uncorrelated asset classes to reduce portfolio volatility. Liquidity needs. Maintain a portion of assets in liquid vehicles to meet unexpected needs without disruptive sales. Legacy planning. Structure ownership so assets can be transferred seamlessly to heirs or charitable entities. You write these objectives in your journal under an ownership mandate, committing yourself to allocate resources according to these priorities. This clear mandate serves as your North Star when evaluating asset opportunities. 2. Equity investments, ownership at scale. Equities offer a powerful path to both income, through dividends, and appreciation. You adopt a two-pronged equity strategy. Core passive holdings. You allocate 40%, 50% of your portfolio into a diversified basket of low-cost index funds or broad market ETFs, such as those tracking the S&P 500 or global equity indices, ensuring broad market exposure and minimizing fees. You set up automated, periodic purchases aligned with your compound engine, reinforcing steady accumulation. Opportunistic active stakes. You reserve 10% and 15% of your portfolio for concentrated positions in high-conviction stocks or private equity investments. You perform rigorous due diligence, analyzing company financials, growth prospects, competitive moats, and management quality. You negotiate direct equity purchases or participate in pre-IPO rounds, aiming for superior returns. Risk is managed by position sizing and stop-loss protocols. No single stake exceeds 5% of your total net worth. To optimize income, you focus on dividend growth stocks, companies with a long history of increasing dividend payouts. You establish a dividend reinvestment plan, DRIP, to automatically convert cash dividends into additional shares, compounding your ownership and enhancing future distributions. You track a dividend yield and growth metric, ensuring your portfolio maintains a balanced yield, EEG, 3% equal to 4%, coupled with annual payout growth, 6% is 8%. You also explore tax-advantaged equity accounts, such as Roth IRAs or 401ks, layering tax-free growth onto your equity holdings. You contribute the maximum allowable amount annually, leveraging employer matches where available. 3. Fixed income instruments, stability and predictability. To balance the volatility of equities, you allocate 20% to 25% of your portfolio to fixed income assets. You diversify across government bonds, U.S., treasuries, TIPS and Treasury inflation-protected securities, or equivalent sovereign debt in stable countries, corporate bonds, investment-grade and high-yield bonds, selected through credit research and yield spread analysis, municipal bonds, tax-exempt bonds if in favorable tax jurisdictions to enhance after-tax yield, bond funds and ETFs, broad exposure to bond markets with automated reinvestment of interest. You ladder your bond maturities to smooth interest rate risk, holding bonds that mature at staggered intervals, 1, 3, 5, 10 years. This laddering strategy provides both predictable income and access to liquidity on a regular schedule. You set your bond ladder to cover short-term cash needs while capturing higher yields on longer maturities, adjusting the mix as interest rate environments shift. Merbantu 4. Real estate holdings, tangible income streams. You embrace real estate as a cornerstone for durable, inflation-resistant income. Your approach encompasses residential rentals, single-family homes, or multifamily units in high-demand markets. You screen for properties near good schools, employment centers, and amenities, ensuring consistent occupancy. You hire professional property managers to handle tenant relations, maintenance, and rent collection, automating the operational backbone. Commercial real estate, office buildings, retail centers, or warehouses with the long-term triple net leases, tenants responsible for taxes, insurance, and maintenance. These leases transfer much risk to tenants, offering predictable rental streams. Real estate investment trusts, ERCETs. Publicly traded AEIT provide exposure to diversified real estate portfolios without direct property management. You choose AEIT focused on sectors resilient to economic cycles, industrial and logistics, healthcare facilities, essential retail, and reinvest dividends via DRIPs. Vacation rentals, short-term rental properties in attractive tourist destinations. You leverage platforms like Airbnb, optimizing pricing algorithms and guest experience. You automate keyless entry, cleaning services, and dynamic pricing to maximize occupancy and revenue. You fund acquisitions through appropriate leverage, mortgages with favorable terms, using low interest rates to amplify return on equity. You maintain conservative debt service coverage ratios, DSCR, above 1.5 gigs to ensure resilience against vacancy or interest rate increases. By consistently paying down principal and capturing appreciation, you build equity that compounds over time. 5. Business ventures, ownership and partnership. Direct business ownership offers unmatched control and upside. You select ventures that align with your expertise. You leverage domain knowledge to assess market opportunities, ensuring you can provide strategic guidance. Have scalable models, businesses that can grow revenue without linear increases in costs, software as a service to e-commerce, or subscription-based offerings. Demonstrate repeatable profitability. You look for companies with proven unit economics and clear paths to positive cash flow. You structure your involvement as either a majority owner, founder, or a significant minority stakeholder, investor, with board representation. You formalize governance through shareholder agreements detailing strategic decision protocols, dilution protections, and exit rights. You implement key performance indicators, KPIs, in monthly recurring revenue, in MRR, customer acquisition cost, CAC, to lifetime value, LTV ratios, gross margin percentages that you review with the management team. To protect personal assets, You channel business ownership through a family holding company, consolidating equity stakes under one corporate entity. This structure simplifies downstream transfers, centralizes taxation, and enforces uniform governance standards across multiple business interests. 6. Intellectual property, licensing, and royalties. You recognize that ideas can be cash-generating assets indefinitely. You invest in patents, innovative processes or products with market applications. You work with patent attorneys to secure global protections and license manufacturing rights to established companies in return for royalty fees. Trademarks, brand names, and logos that carry market value. You license them to partners, collecting fees while maintaining brand integrity. Copyrights, creative works, books, music, software code registered for legal protection. You distribute via digital platforms, earning royalties or licensing fees for commercial use. You track each IP asset in your asset registry, noting expiration dates, renewal deadlines, licensing agreements, and revenue streams. You allocate a small portion of your opportunity account to funding R&D or commissioning creative works that expand your IP portfolio. 7. Alternative assets, diversification, and niche opportunities to further diversify. You consider alternative assets, commodities, gold, silver, agricultural products, and energy commodities. You use commodity ETF or futures contracts, ensuring appropriate risk management and hedging strategies. Collectibles, art, rare coins, fine wine, vintage cars. You work with reputable auction houses, obtain independent appraisals, and store items in secure, climate-controlled facilities. Cryptocurrency, a small allocation, 1% and a 3% of portfolio to established coins with strong network effects, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and vetted DeFi protocols that generate yield. You store keys in hardware wallets and use multi-signature setups for security. You treat these as non-correlated components, limiting volatility and seizing growth prospects unlinked to traditional markets. DUI 8. Acquisition, due diligence, and financing. Regardless of asset class, disciplined acquisition is paramount. You implement a due diligence checklist. Number 1 per market analysis, supply-demand dynamics, competitive landscape, or growth projections. Number 2, financial modeling, cash flow projections, a return on investment, ROI, internal rate of return, IRR, sensitivity analyses. 3, legal and regulatory review, zoning laws, real estate, licensing requirements, businesses, patent validity, IP. 4, tax implications, acquisition costs, depreciation schedules, capital gains treatment, estate tax planning. 5, exit strategy, planned holding period, valuation targets, potential buyers, succession plans. You leverage both professional advisors, attorneys, CPAs, brokers, and your own research to ensure each acquisition aligns with your ownership mandate. You negotiate purchase terms using leverage to optimize returns while preserving cash flow buffers for contingencies. 9. Management and optimization. Owning assets is only the beginning. You must manage and optimize them. Performance monitoring. You set up dashboards, real estate rent rolls, business P&Ls, IP royalty reports that update automatically. You review these weekly, identifying areas for improvement. Operational efficiency. You implement process improvements, tenant screening automation, supply chain optimization, marketing funnel enhancements that increase net returns. Value add strategies. In real estate, you renovate units to command higher rents. In businesses, you introduce new product lines. In IP, you expand licensing territories. Cost control. You audit expenses quarterly, negotiating vendor contracts and eliminating inefficiencies. 10. Scaling and exit planning. As your asset base grows, you prepare for strategic scaling and potential exits. Scaling. You replicate successful models, acquiring additional rental properties in neighboring markets, launching spin-off products, partnering with new investors. Refinancing. You monitor interest rate markets and refinance debt when advantageous, extracting equity to fund further acquisitions. Exit planning. You define clear criteria for exit, target valuation multiples, market conditions, personal readiness, and set triggers for partial or full divestment. You structure tax-efficient exits through 1031 exchanges in real estate, stock sales under capital gains strategies, or structured buyouts in businesses. Integrating asset ownership into your lifestyle. Your ownership strategy integrates seamlessly into your daily life. Automated reporting. You receive a monthly consolidated report, net worth changes, income streams, performance versus benchmarks via your dashboard. Scheduled reviews, quarterly meetings with advisors and family members to discuss portfolio health, strategy adjustments, and legacy considerations. Personal rituals, annual Asset Appreciation Day, where you celebrate the growth of your holdings, perhaps visiting a new property or reviewing new patent income. By mastering asset ownership, you elevate from participant in the economy to owner in the economy. You construct a portfolio that generates income, appreciates in value, and weathers cycles, providing the bedrock for your financial sovereignty and generational legacy. Each asset you acquire, optimize, and steward becomes a living testament to your commitment, discipline, and vision. As this section closes, you stand at the threshold of self-sustaining abundance, knowing that these assets will continue to serve you and your heirs long after today's work is done. You have become the architect of an ever-expanding empire, an empire not built on borrowed time, but on assets that yield perpetual freedom and possibility. You stand at the intersection of value and vulnerability, fully aware that even the most robust empire can crumble without proper guardianship. Every asset you've amassed, your diversified portfolio of equities, income-generating real estate, thriving businesses, and treasured intellectual property, carries inherent risks, market downturns, legal claims, regulatory changes, or unforeseen crises. Today, you take decisive action to fortify your financial fortress through protection structures, legal, financial, and governance mechanisms designed to shield your wealth, ensure seamless succession, and preserve your legacy for generations to come. This is the armor that stands between your prosperity and the unpredictable storms of life. You begin by visualizing threats to your assets, liability lawsuits from tenants or clients, creditor claims, tax audits, marital disputes, or even geopolitical upheavals. Each scenario poses its own danger. A single lawsuit could wipe out your cash reserves. Unexpected estate taxes could erode your carefully assembled endowment. Probate delays could tie up your real estate for years. Recognizing these hazards, you commit to a multi-layered approach that addresses every dimension: legal ownership entities, estate planning vehicles, insurance safeguards, and governance protocols. 1. Legal ownership entities. The first line of defense is separating personal exposure from asset ownership. You methodically place each major asset into an appropriate entity structure. Limited liability companies, LLCs, for real estate and small business holdings. You create a separate LLC for each property or business, ensuring that liabilities from one entity cannot bleed into another. You draft clear operating agreements that define ownership percentages, management responsibilities, and procedures for adding or removing members. Hidden C corporations or S corporations for certain business ventures, particularly those planning to attract outside investors or issue equity. You consult tax professionals to determine which corporate form offers optimal tax treatment and ease of shareholder transfers. You establish corporate bylaws that delineate board functions, shareholder voting rights, and dividend policies. Limited partnerships, LPs, for specialized investment structures, such as syndicated real estate deals or private equity funds. You position yourself as the general partner with decision-making authority, while other investors serve as limited partners whose liability is capped at their investment. This structure streamlines decision-making while protecting passive investors. Family holding companies. You consolidate multiple LLCs, corporations, and partnership interests under a centralized holding company, either an LLC or corporation, such that the holding company owns the underlying entities. This simplifies reporting, centralizes governance, and creates economies of scale for administrative tasks. You issue equity interests in the holding company that correspond to individual ownership stakes, making it easier to transfer wealth without triggering asset-by-asset transactions. For each entity, you adhere to rigorous corporate formalities, annual meetings, documented resolutions, separate bank accounts, and accurate bookkeeping. This discipline ensures that courts respect the liability shields these entities provide, preventing piercing the corporate veil, a legal scenario where a judge disregards entity separation due to sloppy record-keeping or commingling of personal and business funds. 2. Trust structures and estate vehicles. To secure your legacy and remove assets from the reach of probate courts and estate taxes, you establish a suite of trust vehicles tailored to specific objectives. Revocable living trust. You transfer personally owned assets, family home, brokerage accounts, personal property, into a revocable trust while you live. You name yourself as trustee, retaining full control. But upon your incapacitation or passing, a successor trustee steps in seamlessly, avoiding the time-consuming and public probate process. You draft a pour-over will to catch any assets inadvertently left out of the trust, directing them into the trust upon your death. Irrevocable trusts. You set up targeted irrevocable trusts, such as an irrevocable life insurance trust, EILIT, to remove life insurance proceeds from your taxable estate, and a grantor retained annuity trust, Grade T, to transfer appreciating assets at a reduced gift tax cost. Each trust has its own governing document that specifies distribution terms, trustee powers, and beneficiary classes. Dynasty trust. In jurisdictions that allow it, you establish a generation-skipping trust designed to last for multiple generations. You allocate a portion of your estate to this trust, ensuring that its assets grow outside of each generation's taxable estate. You define standards for beneficiary distributions, educational expenses, healthcare, entrepreneurial ventures, so that heirs receive support while preserving capital. Charitable remainder and lead trusts. You integrate philanthropy with tax planning by creating a charitable remainder trust, CRT, which provides you or named beneficiaries with an income stream for a set term, after which the remainder funds your chosen charity. Alternatively, a charitable lead trust, CLT, channels income to charity for a period before reverting assets back to your family. These vehicles reduce estate taxes and foster your philanthropic legacy. You appoint independent trustees, trusted professionals, or institutional fiduciaries for each irrevocable trust, ensuring impartial administration according to the trust's terms. You provide trustees with clear instructions, governance guidelines, and regular reporting requirements. You periodically review and update trust documents to reflect changes in tax laws, family dynamics, or asset composition. 3. Insurance and risk mitigation. Even robust legal structures can be rendered moot without adequate insurance coverage. You implement a comprehensive insurance strategy. Personal umbrella liability insurance. You purchase high-limit umbrella policies, $5 million to $10 million in coverage, that sit above your homeowners, i.e. auto, sicking, and other personal lines. This protects your personal assets and entity-owned assets from catastrophic liability judgments. Commercial general liability and professional liability, EE&O. You ensure each business entity carries the appropriate liability insurance. Professional services require errors and omissions coverage to cover allegations of negligence or breach of duty. You tailor policy limits to the entity's risk exposure and revenue levels. Directors and officers, D&O. Insurance for corporations, partnerships, and holding entities. You secure D&O policies that protect management against claims alleging wrongful acts in their official capacities. This encourages qualified board members to serve without personal risk. Key person insurance. You identify crucial individuals, founders, top executives, or unique technical experts whose loss would destabilize the business. You purchase life insurance or disability insurance on these individuals, with proceeds payable to the business to facilitate succession or buyout. Real estate insurance. Each rental property and commercial holding requires tailored policies, property coverage for fire, flood, if applicable, and natural disasters. Business interruption insurance to cover lost rental income during claims, and builder's risk coverage during renovations. Disability and long-term care insurance. You protect your personal earning capacity and safeguard against medical catastrophes by securing high-quality disability policies and, if appropriate, long-term care insurance. This prevents depleting your asset base to cover personal health care expenses. You integrate insurance reviews into your quarterly system check, ensuring policies remain current, limits adequate, and premiums competitive. You shop markets periodically to leverage improved terms and technology-driven underwriting, eliminating gaps and overlaps in coverage. 4. Tax optimization strategies. Effective protection requires minimizing leakages through excessive taxation. You collaborate with tax planners to optimize entity-level taxation. You choose pass-through entities or corporate election status, S Corp C to align with your income patterns. You leverage qualified business income, QBI deductions, net operating loss, and NOL, carry forwards, and cost to segregation studies in real estate to accelerate depreciation. Maximize annual gifting. You utilize gift tax annual exclusions, currently $17,000 per beneficiary, to transfer wealth incrementally without gift taxes. You combine this with crummy withdrawal notices in certain irrevocable trusts to move larger sums under the gift tax exemption. Implement family limited partnerships, FLPs. You transfer assets into an FLP and present minority interest and lack of control discounts for valuation, reducing estate and gift tax liabilities when transferring interests to heirs. Charitable deductions and establishing donor-advised funds, DEFs. You make charitable contributions of appreciated securities or cash, receiving immediate tax deductions and distributing the funds to charities over time. You use DAFs as flexible philanthropic vehicles, optimizing giving with tax benefits. International tax considerations. For global investments, you establish structures in favorable jurisdictions, navigate tax treaties, and employ foreign tax credits to avoid double taxation while meeting regulatory compliance. You maintain a detailed tax calendar, recording filing deadlines, estimated payment dates, and review milestones to avoid penalties and capitalize on planning windows. You consolidate tax planning advice with your estate and trust strategies, ensuring cohesive, holistic structuring. 5. Governance and compliance protocols. Protection hinges on disciplined governance. You institute entity governance manuals. You develop comprehensive manuals for each LLC, corporation, or trust, outlining meeting schedules, approval thresholds, signing authorities, and conflict of interest policies. You distribute these manuals to all board members, partners, and trustees. Compliance audits. You schedule biannual audits, conducted internally or by external counsel, to ensure all entities adhere to corporate formalities, regulatory filings, and trust distributions. You correct any deviations immediately, preserving liability protections, succession and emergency protocols. You draft continuity plans for each entity, specifying procedures for sudden leadership changes, death, disability, or resignation. You pre-appoint successors, outline decision-making hierarchies, and maintain secure digital access to all critical documents. Record-keeping systems. You implement a secure and cloud-based document management platform, organized by entity and document type, articles of organization, operating agreements, trust instruments, insurance policies, tax returns. You grant controlled access to advisors and family members as needed, ensuring that the entire archive is both protected and readily retrievable. Regular training and updates. You convene annual governance workshops for all stakeholders, family members, trustees, board directors, covering compliance obligations, cybersecurity best practices, and legislative changes affecting asset ownership. You encourage open dialogue, questions, and scenario planning. By weaving together legal entities, trust vehicles, comprehensive insurance coverage, tax optimization, and rigorous governance, you build an impermeable fortress around your wealth. Each layer addresses a specific vulnerabilities while reinforcing the others, creating a cohesive protection mosaic. You transform exposure into confidence, knowing that your assets are anchored by enduring structures designed for resilience and continuity. As this section draws to a close, you reflect on the profound security these structures provide, not only for your peace of mind today, but for the safeguarding of your legacy tomorrow. You stand ready to navigate any storm, assured that your financial empire will withstand the tests of time, adversity, and complexity, ensuring that your prosperity remains intact and intact for generations yet to dawn. You arrive at the most intimate frontier of your transformation, becoming the living embodiment of wealth energy. All the strategies, systems, and structures you've built, from automated pipelines to compound engines, from creator mindsets to legacy frameworks, are now coalescing into a singular purpose. You radiate abundance so palpably that money and opportunity seek you out, rather than you pursuing them. In this section, you learn to fuse your inner state and outward actions into one seamless frequency of wealth, making prosperity not just what you do, but who you are. You begin by understanding that money at its core is energy in motion, an exchange of perceived value. Just as a magnet's field draws iron filings, your energetic field, shaped by your beliefs, emotions, and behaviors, attracts or repels to financial currents. To embody wealth energy, you must align every facet of your being: thoughts, feelings, physiology, environment, with the vibration of abundance. This alignment transforms you into a conduit through which prosperity flows effortlessly, touching every interaction you have. Weaning 1. Inner resonance, harmonizing thought and emotion. You settle into a quiet space and close your eyes, focusing on the rhythmic rise and fall of your breath. You recall the empowering beliefs you've cultivated. I am a money magnet. Abundance flows to me effortlessly. I am the source of wealth. You allow each statement to echo in your mind, noticing the subtle emotional responses they evoke: uplift, certainty, gratitude. You lean into that uplift, amplifying the sensations until you feel warmth in your chest and a gentle tingling in your fingertips. This is your inner resonance, the emotional core of your wealth embodiment. To sustain that resonance throughout your day, you adopt a frequency anchor practice. You choose a simple gesture, placing your hand over your heart or lightly pressing your thumb and forefinger together. Whenever you perform this anchor, you recall the feeling of abundance as vividly as possible. You do this 5 times throughout your morning routine. Upon waking, during your morning hydration, before your first work task, after lunch, and mid-afternoon. Each anchor resets your emotional vibration, preventing scarcity or doubt from taking hold. You also refine your self-talk protocol. You monitor your internal dialogue, intercepting any scarcity thoughts. What if I can't afford that expense? Or I'm not prepared for that opportunity? And instantly reframing them into abundance queries. How can I attract the resources for this? Or what part of this opportunity can I amplify? This rapid cognitive swap keeps your mental frequency dialed to prosperity, ensuring you consistently broadcast the signal wealth responds to. Not 2. Embodied presence, aligning physiology with prosperity. Your body is the vessel through which energy manifests. To fully embody wealth, you integrate prosperity posture and wealth gate into your daily movement repertoire. Prosperity posture is a neutral stance that radiates openness and confidence. Feet rooted hip-width apart, pelvis neutral, spine elongated, shoulders relaxed and slightly drawn back, chest open, head balanced atop the spine. You practice this posture for 2 minutes each morning as part of your mirror ritual, letting your musculature memorize the alignment. Throughout the day, you spring into this posture whenever you sense tension or doubt creeping in, instantly reclaiming the energetic wave form of abundance. Your wealth gate is the way you move through your environment, deliberate yet fluid steps. A slight forward lean that signals momentum. Arms swinging naturally at your sides, head held high, gaze forward. You practice walking this way in your home or office, synchronizing each step with an affirmation. I move with purpose and prosperity. Over time, this gate becomes second nature, turning every entrance into a doorway of opportunity and every hallway into a testament of your embodied abundance. You also refine your vocal timbre. Your voice carries not only words, but vibrations. You record yourself delivering key wealth affirmations and read them back, tuning your tone to be warm, resonant, and authoritative. You practice speaking at a measured pace, pausing to allow your words to land with weight, conveying to listeners and to yourself that you are grounded in your value. When you engage in calls, presentations, or casual conversations, you bring this vocal signature to the forefront, imprinting abundance into every interaction. 3. Environmental symbiosis, curating a field of abundance. Your surroundings act like tuning forks, amplifying or damping your vibrational output. To embody wealth energy, you create an abundance ecosystem in your personal and professional spaces. Begin with your work sanctuary. You declutter surfaces, leaving only items that symbolize prosperity, a crystal or gemstone known for abundance, a framed image of someone who inspires your financial vision, a green plant that signifies growth. You position your desk so that you face the door or window, fostering a sense of openness and receptivity. You place a small bowl of water or a fountain to introduce the fluidity and flow of wealth. You hang an art print or vision board that evokes expansion. Sunrises, soaring birds, upward arrows. Next, you refine your digital environment. You curate desktop wallpapers with subtle affirmations. Opportunity lives here. Wealth vibrates at 528 Hz. Or I attract abundance. You organize apps into two categories: response and resource. Response apps, email, messaging, are placed in a folder accessed only at scheduled times to minimize reactive scrolling. Resource apps, books, learning platforms, financial dashboards occupy prime screen real estate, signaling your priority for growth and value. You also audit your auditory landscape. You create a playlist of instrumental or ambient tracks that elevate your mood and focus, from soft piano melodies to uplifting electronic waves. You play these tracks during your creation blocks, letting the music harmonize with your embodied frequency. You avoid news or talk radio programs that skew toward negativity or fear, opting instead for podcasts that highlight innovation, success stories, and abundance psychology. Your social field greatly influences your vibration. You intentionally spend time with individuals whose energy aligns with prosperity. You reduce exposure to chronic complainers, scarcity-focused conversations, and fear-based narratives. You join communities, online forums, mastermind groups, local networks where abundance is celebrated and strategic generosity is the norm. You engage actively, offering insights, celebrating peers' wins, and seeking collaboration. This positive feedback loop reinforces your identity as a wealth broadcaster, attracting aligned connections and opportunities. Cash 4. Proactive generosity, the circulation principle. A magnet that hoards filings loses its field strength. Abundance flows most powerfully through open channels of giving and receiving. You adopt the circulation principle. Money must move to grow. Proactivity into strategic generosity becomes a core expression of your embodied wealth energy. You designate 10% of your passive and active income to a giving cycle. You give in 3 areas. 1. Expertise. You offer pro bono consulting, mentorship, or workshops to underserved communities or emerging entrepreneurs. 2. Financial gifts. You make small, unexpected monetary gifts to colleagues, friends, or strangers in need, paying for a barista's shift, donating to a peer's crowdfunding, or surprising a neighbor with a grocery voucher. 3. Time and resources. You volunteer specialized skills, shooting graphic design for a charity, copywriting for a nonprofit campaign, or strategic planning for a community project. Each act of giving accelerates your internal prosperity loop. Generosity releases wealth energy outward, which in turn creates inner abundance and opportunities for reciprocal flows. You keep a giving journal, noting each act, the recipient's response, and any synchronicities that follow, unexpected referrals, new collaborations, or fresh ideas sparked by the interactions. This journal reinforces your belief that giving is not a cost, but a multiplier of wealth. 5. Some opportunity magnetism. Activating synchronicity as you embody wealth energy, you begin to experience powerful synchronicities, coincidences that feel orchestrated by a field of abundance. To maximize these magnetic moments, you develop an opportunistic mindset. You maintain a 5-minute opportunity scan. Twice daily, you glance at your calendar and inbox for any signals, an email from an intriguing contact, a social media mention, or an event announcement. You respond promptly, trusting your intuition to guide your choices. Rapid response amplifies your receptivity, as the universe equates your speed with seriousness. You practice intentional signal sending. At the start of each week, you publish a social media post or newsletter inviting collaboration, sharing your current focus, and expressing openness to new engagements. You use language that conveys confidence. I'm exploring partnerships in sustainable tech, If you're aligned, let's connect. Ini cure. You use your embodied abundance energy to communicate authenticity, drawing aligned collaborators. You employ dynamic networking rituals when attending virtual or in-person events. You arrive with a clear intention. Whether to source a mentor, find a strategic partner, or simply celebrate collective success, you open conversations with genuine curiosity, asking, what wins are you celebrating this quarter? Or, where can I provide value today? This focus on others' abundance signals your own stability, making you magnetic and memorable. 6. Rituals of abundant living. To anchor your embodiment daily, you weave in abundance rituals, micro-practices that infuse your life with prosperity consciousness. Morning wealth. Invocation. Immediately upon waking, you speak a brief invocational, I am wealth. I radiate abundance. I attract opportunity. You visualize a golden light radiating from your heart, expanding through your room and into the world. Midday prosperity. Pause. 30 minutes after lunch. You close your eyes and breathe for 2 minutes, silently repeating your I am affirmations. This pause recalibrates your field, especially if the morning's demands have scattered your focus. Evening gratitude, reflection. Before bed, you list 3 moments of abundance from the day. An answered inquiry, a small financial uptick, or an inspiring collaboration. You savor these memories, letting gratitude amplify your wealth frequency as you drift into restful sleep. Weekly abundant walk. Each weekend, you take a nature walk with the sole intention of absorbing abundance from your surroundings. You observe growth cycles in plants, the interplay of sunlight and shadow, the symphony of life around you. You sense the universal abundance that underlies all creation, reinforcing your own belonging in that flow. 7. Measuring your embodied wealth. Embodied wealth isn't just about numbers in a ledger. It's about the quality of your energetic field and its tangible outcomes. You establish embodiment metrics, synchronicity score, number of spontaneous opportunities or aligned encounters per week, generosity, ROI, return ratio from acts of giving, new collaborations, referrals, or reciprocal support resulting from your generosity, emotional resonance index, self-assessed frequency of high abundance states per day, measured on a simple 1/10 scale. Response time metric, average time between receiving an opportunity signal, email, message, and responding, keeping it under 2 hours as a standard of receptivity. You track these metrics in a simple spreadsheet or habit tracking app, reviewing them weekly. When your metrics drift, fewer synchronicities, lower resonance, you revisit your rituals and frequency anchors to recalibrate your field. 8. Sustaining the wealth frequency over time. Embodied wealth energy, like any living ecosystem, requires ongoing care, regular recharge. You schedule at least 1 day per quarter where you disconnect from work, finances, and obligations. You immerse yourself in restorative activities, nature retreats, creative pursuits, or silent meditation, allowing your energetic reservoir to replenish. Advanced energy practices. You explore modalities such as sound healing, binaural beats tuned to frequencies associated with abundance, breathwork, holotropic or alternate nostril breathing, or movement arts, qigong, ecstatic dance, that elevate your vibrational field beyond habitual patterns. Mentorship in mastery. You engage periodically with an abundance mentor, a coach specialized in energy work and high-performance mindset, ensuring you continue to refine and deepen your embodiment practice. Omerdurtint, community of resonance. You maintain a small circle of peers who meet monthly for abundance alignment circles, where you share embodiment challenges, offer rituals, and co-create group meditations. This community acts as a resonant amplifier, sustaining high-frequency states collectively. By weaving inner resonance, embodied presence, environmental curation, proactive generosity, opportunistic magnetism, abundance rituals, and sustained calibration, you transform yourself into the epitome of wealth energy. You no longer pursue money as an external goal. You are the living channel through which prosperity flows. Opportunities appear, resources gather, and synchronicities unfold, not through frantic chasing, but through the irresistible pull of your aligned vibration. As this section draws to a close, you sense the culmination of all your efforts. Your identity, systems, behaviors, and environment have merged into one cohesive field of wealth. You move through the world with effortless grace, and everywhere you turn, you encounter the fertile ground for expansion. You have become not just a steward of wealth, but wealth itself in motion, an embodiment of the infinite abundance that underlies the universe. You awaken to a singular realization. Every strategy you've embraced, every asset you've acquired, every mindset you've cultivated has led you here to the ultimate transformation of becoming money. You no longer view money as an object external to yourself, nor as a tool you must hunt. You embody the essence of wealth. You radiate abundance so authentically that prosperity flows through you like a living tide, animating every decision, every breath, every gesture. In this final stage, you synthesize all prior lessons into a seamless identity. You are money itself, a self-sustaining, self-renewing source of value in the world. You begin by dissolving the last vestiges of separation between you and money. You close your eyes and breathe deeply, feeling your heart as the epicenter of creation and exchange. You recall that money started as a reflection of value, grain, shells, coins, circulating among people in exchange for goods and services. Now, you are that reflection made conscious. Your talents, your energy, your presence generate value naturally, effortlessly. As you inhale, you sense the energy of abundance entering your being. As you exhale, you envision that energy radiating outward, carrying value to every encounter. To anchor this identity, you adopt a daily ritual called the Wealth Embodiment Invocation. Each morning, in a calm, centered space, you stand tall and recite, "I am the living currency of creation. My presence generates value. I breathe abundance and exhale opportunity." You let each phrase reverberate through your body. You feel the vibration as a warm hum in your chest, a gentle whisper in your mind, a soft glow in your hands. This invocation transcends mere words. It is a living affirmation that merges your consciousness with the flow of wealth. Next, you cultivate an integrated presence. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to create value. Whether you're offering guidance to a colleague, sharing insight in a meeting, or simply holding space for someone in need. You no longer compartmentalize work time and lifetime. Each moment is an avenue for value exchange. When you smile at a stranger, you offer the value of connection. When you listen attentively, you grant the value of presence. When you share your knowledge, you create the value of empowerment. In each act, you enact the truth that you are money, circulating your wealth into the world. You refine your presence practices to ensure your state remains aligned with this identity. Mano 1. Mindful Value Offering. Before responding in any conversation, virtual or in person, you pause for a breath, centering yourself in abundance. you ask silently, "How can I offer value here?" This brief moment of presence ensures that your words and actions emanate from your wealth identity. Over time, this pause becomes instinctual, infusing every dialogue with genuine generosity and insight. 2. Energetic checkpoints. At hourly intervals, you perform a silent check. You place your hand on your heart and ask, "Am I operating from separation or abundance?" If you sense tension, contraction, or fear, you invoke your wealth embodiment invocation to realign your energy. These checkpoints keep you anchored in your identity, preventing drift into old scarcity patterns. Mentor 3. Proactive gratitude circulation. Each afternoon, you write a brief note of thanks, not for what you have, but for what you have generated: a helpful idea, a supportive collaboration, a creative spark. You send these notes to colleagues, mentors, or friends, expressing appreciation for how their engagement catalyzed value. This gratitude circulates abundance back into your field, reinforcing your identity as a living currency. You also integrate a holistic value audit into your weekly routine. You reflect on the previous 7 days and chart every instance you consciously embodied your wealth identity. Moments you diffused conflict by offering constructive solutions. Times you donated your expertise to uplift someone else. Instances when you elevated conversations with insightful questions. Opportunities you created for others. Introductions, recommendations, resources. You record these in your journal, acknowledging that each act of value creation is a transaction in your personal ledger of abundance. This audit not only celebrates your identity, but also highlights the diverse ways you embody money beyond traditional financial metrics. As you inhabit this identity, you notice profound shifts in your relationship with challenges. Instead of perceiving obstacles as threats, you view them as invitations to generate new forms of value. A project roadblock becomes an opportunity to innovate. A negotiation impasse becomes a chance to deepen understanding of mutual needs. A market downturn becomes fertile ground for strategic recalibration. In every friction point, you see the spark of value creation. By navigating complexity, you hone your skills and reveal hidden possibilities. You amplify this perspective through adaptive value framing. Each challenge you face, you consciously reframe as a value prototype. If a client questions your approach, you treat it as a test case to refine your methodology. If a technical glitch arises in your software product, you view it as a design iteration that, once resolved, will fortify the user experience. If a personal setback interrupts your workflow, you recognize it as a lesson in resilience that enhances your capacity to serve others. This reframing turns adversity into a currency of growth, further solidifying your identity as one who incarnates value in every situation. To ensure your identity remains unshakable, you weave embodied wealth habits into your daily life. Morning generative journaling. You spend 10 minutes writing ideas for new offerings, improvements to existing assets, or fresh philanthropic initiatives. This habitual creation primes your mind to see value everywhere. Afternoon value check. You ask 3 colleagues or clients, "What was most valuable about our work together today?" You listen deeply, collecting insights that inform your ongoing practice. Evening reflection on value flows. You meditate for 5 minutes, visualizing all the ways value streamed through you that day, from the grandest achievements to the smallest acts of kindness. You breathe deeply, feeling the interconnected web of abundance rise and fall in harmony. You understand that your identity as money must flow through networks, not remain confined. You scale your embodiment by structuring value ecosystems, mark collaborative projects. You co-create with other high-frequency individuals, artists, technologists, leaders, combining your unique form of wealth energy to birth multi-dimensional value. Mentorship networks. You nurture a community of mentees, each committed to their own wealth embodiment. You host monthly circles where members share breakthroughs and challenges, embedding collective abundance. Impact coalitions. You form alliances with nonprofits, social enterprises, and civic organizations, channeling your creative resources into large-scale projects that ripple across communities. Through these ecosystems, your wealth identity extends beyond personal gain into collective transformation. You see that true wealth is not hoarded but shared, multiplied, and leveraged for the greater good. Simultaneously, you maintain somatic resilience. You practice daily movement, yoga, qigong, or mindful walking to circulate energy within your body. You hydrate, nourish, and rest to preserve the integrity of your field. You recognize that physical vitality is the vessel through which your wealth frequency is sustained. You also respect the ebb and flow of abundance. You know that even magnets require occasional resets. Rhythms of intensity, followed by replenishment, ensure vitality. You schedule restorative retreats quarterly, periods of silence, nature immersion, or creative solitude to recalibrate your internal field without external stimuli. These retreats nourish your core, allowing your wealth identity to regenerate at deeper levels. Throughout this extended practice, you maintain a living declaration that evolves with you. I am the embodiment of infinite value. I generate and circulate abundance. As I grow, those around me flourish. During Eat, you revise this declaration as new insights emerge, keeping it vibrant and resonant. You recite the latest version daily, letting it shape your reality. As your identity crystallizes, you notice subtle yet profound shift. You no longer hesitate to charge premium fees because you feel intrinsically worthy. You no longer chase clients because they are drawn to your magnetic presence. You no longer hoard your time because you trust that abundant opportunities will continue to flow through you. You move through doorways of possibility without knocking because the universe recognizes you as money itself, a self-directing, self-affirming source of prosperity. And now, as this section draws to a close, you stand fully realized in your transformation. You have become the living currency of your own creation. Money is not something you have, but something you are. You breathe abundance, radiate opportunity, and walk through life as a beacon of value. You hold within you the power to generate, circulate, and magnify wealth indefinitely, an infinite fountain of prosperity that flows through every aspect of your being. Now the pace gently slows, and you rest in the soft afterglow of your transformation. You feel the richness of each breath, as if the air itself carries gold-flecked light. Your muscles, once poised and purposeful, soften into ease. Your mind, once raced by strategy and numbers, settles into a spacious calm where every thought unfolds with quiet elegance. In this hushed moment, you understand that true wealth is the serenity born from knowing you are, at your core, an unceasing source of value. Allow your awareness to drift down through your body, like warm sunlight resting on a tranquil lake. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Imagine each heartbeat as a tender affirmation of your new identity. You do not rush to stand again. Instead, you linger in stillness, savoring the harmony you have created between your inner and outer world. Here, in this serene space, you are home, with yourself, with abundance, and with the infinite possibilities that flow from your being. Let the assurances of your journey wash over you, the steady hum of your wealth infrastructure, the subtle pulse of your compound engine, the radiant field of your embodied presence. Know that each element you have crafted stands firm, yet adapts gracefully to life's ever-changing currents. You rest in the knowledge that you are both architect and living foundation of a prosperity that stretches beyond time. As you gently open your eyes, carry this serenity into every step. Walk forward with a heart unburdened and a spirit unshakable. Your wealth is not just your possessions or portfolio. It is the luminous quality you bring into every moment. In the soft cadence of your daily life, may you continue to breathe abundance, exhale opportunity, and live as the embodiment of infinite value.